Pretty Little Liars, a television series, sometimes deals with disturbing and problematic topics. We provided a list of content warnings in the episode description. Hello and welcome to Dead Ends. I'm Emily.
I'm Brenton.
And today we have one final episode of the original run of Pretty Little Liars.
Oof.
We have the finale. We have the accent.
Uh-huh.
We have the twin twist.
Uh-huh.
And we have, did Allie and Emily murder Addison?
That's actually the most important question.
I really think like this, much like how like a lot of shows like end with a beginning so that they can have a follow-up.
Right. Mm-hmm.
They were like, oh, we've got a couple different directions we can take this. What if
they are kind of placing bets at the end?
that like that another version would get picked up, do you think? Or that
Right, that they could like potentially follow on with these girls, that like what's the interest in more? And then also, well, Mona still has Alex and Mary locked up. So it's
I
like
think
we could
that
also follow this.
I think that was the true idea. I think they're trying to end it with a beginning. You know what I mean? Like they were like, and the cycle repeats because
Right.
like mean girls and bullying never goes away.
Uh-huh.
And so like what happened now? And
Let's bring it all back to that. Which a lot of this too, I will say, like one of my biggest gripes. I understand this is a television show for a YA audience, but that Alex's like complaints feel very high school. Her whole motivation is like, I wanted to have a big part of it is like, I wanted to have friends like you. That feels like very like high school concerns coming back to this when we had like gotten so far away from that.
yeah, it's interesting too because like obviously this is pre-book talk, but it really feels like Alex read the found family trope a couple too many times and was like, what if I found my own family by pretending to be my sister?
Right, by forcibly kidnapping her and then moving her somewhere else.
Yeah, it's just a choice.
No, and it doesn't work because we don't know Alex.
Well, and also like Spencer was so desperate for a family member that actually cared about her and like didn't lie to her that like
never found one.
yeah, Alex could have literally just showed up and like stopped lying to her in the moment she like met Spencer, and Spencer would have been like, wow, you're the best sibling I've ever had, and I have a lot.
Jason, I think, is the only one that comes close, and
Yeah.
he's never around.
Yeah, well, and for a while there, we never knew if Jason was really telling the truth or what was going on.
No, But
To be fair, Jason didn't know what was going on.
no, he didn't. Talking about someone who doesn't know anything. But yeah, then she keeps getting family members introduced to her, and they keep letting her down. Mary does and doesn't. Well, Mary doesn't get her out. I think that's actually the big letdown there, is that Mary's like, well, we can try and figure it out. Although Janelle Parrish in her interview, I think is with, oh crap, I forget what the publication was, like Entertainment, I think, like it was like, yeah, you know, like Mary didn't really do anything. I feel kind of bad about that. Mary being locked up at the end.
Yeah.
Mary's kind of justified.
It's interesting. It's a choice.
It is a choice. This entire episode is a choice.
It's a lot
It's
of
not
choices.
good.
No, it's one of I was like, is it one of the worst finales I've seen? And like, I would say that, but like, we finished Veronica Mars, and I was so mad about the finale of that show that we created this podcast.
Yeah.
I was so angry that this is what happened. I mean, there's nothing like me being mad to seek a creative outlet.
Right.
Or a solution. And then I thought about, do you remember the show we watched, Life on Mars? I couldn't stand the end of that show.
Yeah, at least in this, you get happy endings for most.
Yeah.
At least our main
girls.
5, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just because it's like you get this dump truck of reveals, and it doesn't really matter. So it doesn't stick with you the same way as like Veronica Mars's finale does.
No.
It just like, well, that was dumb.
That was the worst thing they could have done.
Yeah.
But I will say, so like before you do your recap, can I tell you the things that I remembered from this episode before we watched it.
Please do.
The things that stood out to me in my little memory brain.
Yeah, no, yeah, perfect.
Arya's ugly wedding dress. That first wedding dress that she was gonna get married in. I'm like, well, thank God the wedding didn't happen.
Yeah.
Because what they did, my guess, I don't know. I'm not a fashion person. I'm wearing a Mickey Mouse t-shirt. Like, we're not pretending like I'm anything but what I am. But it looked like they were like, oh, because she's unique and she does different things, we'll get her a vintage gown. But that gown was not, it's too big of a gown for a small person.
Yeah.
When I tried on wedding dresses, a big thing for me was like, am I wearing the dress or is the dress wearing me? And that dress was wearing her, and it shouldn't have even been wearing a hanger.
No.
I think there was an era and a time, and maybe even like a body type, which mostly height-wise, not anything else, but just there's like a different kind of frame that might have been able to pull that off. I don't know, because it fit her so poorly that then like she lost her body. Mm-hmm. It was just such a horrible choice because she.
Do you think the time frame was the 1800s?
I don't know. But they picked, like, I'm like, she wore such fun, cool, quirky things throughout the whole show. And like some of her outfits are ridiculous. And that's fun. Like, they could have gone so over the top. She could have had a black wedding dress.
Ooh, that would have been
fun.
Like,
it could have been really fun. And instead they were like, okay, let's give her a like antique or like a vintage dress. But they didn't make it a good dress. I prefer the dress she actually gets married in at the end.
Yeah,
it's almost like a For Love and Lemons dress. That's what I always thought of it as. Mm-hmm. For a long time, because of that scene, I was like, oh, if I got married, I would just buy a For Love and Lemons dress and wear that at my courthouse ceremony. And guess what I did when we got married at the courthouse? I wore a white For Love and Lemons dress. But I did buy a big fluffy dress for our wedding too. But that was pink and it was different. Yeah. But like that's what like Arya could have done something fun. I'm like projecting. I'm like, she could have worn the dress I wore. It was pink and it had stars all over it.
Good taste, which you do.
Thank you. But like I'm like, there's so much more we could have done with that, and we didn't. But not an important plot point, just a frustration of mine. Because like I'm like, Arya's so fun and cool and whatever. Like put her in black. Like, also, like what if she's on the A team still? You know, like you could. I don't know. There's lots of ideas. Lots of colors, lots of fun she could have had that she didn't. She picked an ugly dress. But obviously the character herself, you know, it is a choice.
Arya summed up.
Yeah. Bad choices all around. The other thing I remember is Alex holding the baby and going, I knew your father would make pretty babies, or whatever the actual line is.
It's like, what the fuck?
And the fact that when she casually tells Spencer that Wren is now a diamond.
Everything to do with Wren.
It's the best part of the episode.
Yeah, and it's like, boy, you know, I was really like grilling into him, but like, damn, he got like, out of anybody, he got it the worst. You
guessed that he was the father of the baby once. Well, and I kept saying babies. I kept being like, who are the baby's father? And like, like I kept saying it plural, and you kept just like running with it. And I was like, thank God he can't figure out what I'm saying. So I got lucky thanks to grammar, because like, well, who's the baby's father versus like the baby's, you know, like right. English saved me.
And the big thing anyway isn't that they have twins. It's more, I mean, you know, again, cycle continues. But it's more the parentage reveal of like, whoa, Alex hated him so much.
Yeah. So Wren's legacy lives on.
And like, okay, just to hit this plot point real quick. When did she collect the sample? So she brought it with her first visit.
Mm-hmm. I'm assuming.
Because that's when Allie got pregnant, right?
I think it was during her first visit.
Yeah, it was.
Maybe Wren came with her?
Because the second visit is during the flash forward that we don't see, is actually now.
Oh yeah, when she has him shoot her.
Wait. That's not the second visit. That's still part of the first visit. Wait, no.
No, she's already back in England.
When did she go back to England?
I think after
Charlotte, right?
I thought it was, yeah, after Charlotte.
So then she's hopping back and forth to England.
I think so.
Oh, wait, no, but Wren came here.
Yeah, because we see him in the airport.
Right, so then that's what he shot her. I was talking about the visit home.
Okay.
But that's, she does that after Charlotte. Sorry.
I guess we don't always know what country they're in when they're alone, you know?
Yeah.
There's a lot of plot holes that I'm confused by. Mm-hmm. Or timelines, I guess I'm confused by.
Right.
The fact that Wren dated every child from the Hastings family is its own special little nugget in my brain. But, and then what else? Oh, Ezra being the one who's locked up with Spencer, to me, was just like the funniest fucking thing in the world, because it's like, why?
Why indeed? And then
he asked too many questions.
Yeah, and then she's like, well, I'm just going to kill him later. I'm like, why didn't you just kill him to begin with? Why bring him down here?
Yeah. Interesting, right? Yeah. Interesting.
For like her motivations, you know.
That, and then Jenna, the bloodhound, being like...
The way
that's Toby. Call Toby. That does not smell like Spencer.
And then the way that we have gone this entire show where someone has a piece of information and nobody believes it, for then the finale to be like, we're going to make this giant leap of logic to figure all this out.
But Spencer all of a sudden has a twin.
Yeah, and we're going to figure this out in like 5 minutes. It's like, oh my God. Like, they did not know how to work this in. Like, they should have like revealed Alex like multiple episodes ago. And then you should have just had this all wrap up of like, wait, what is going on with Alex? Like, what is her motivation? What is she doing here? Like, it should have just been like how we found out about Mary. And it's like, wait, there's another Spencer out there? What does this mean? And you get all the information.
And then we could have like been guessing in the scenes, which I was having you do. But anyway, like if it's Spencer or Alex, like that's fun as the audience.
Totally. And then you probably would have gotten to know that like Alex at least a little bit, because it's like Alex is like, I want the family and the friends. I'm like, okay, so we know that you don't have family but no friends. What happened in the like 18 years that since you ran away? We had a big blank spot. What got you to working at the bar? And you didn't make friends at a bar, at a pub? Sorry, apologies.
There's lots of questions. The number one question though, and the thing I remember the most, Troian is an amazing actress. She's done some unparalleled work, even like slipping the accent into her regular accent has been really well done. The fucking Cockney accent is the worst thing that has ever happened on television, maybe.
It's not good.
It's so bad.
They should have just gone with like some...
like a posh British or something else that was more like auditorily appeasing. I don't know. That's something that didn't sound so harsh, and so it sounds like Bert from Mary Poppins, which like is like the caricature of a Cockney accent, but exactly. I don't think like that. She doesn't have the cadence and like the other aspects of it to make it sound, I feel like, genuine. And so it sounds really, and then in scenes, especially when she's with Wren, it sounds really weird because it's like, I don't know. It's just not. It's so bad.
Yeah, because I think to your point of like caricature of a Cockney accent, it's like, yeah, Cockney accent is kind of the caricature of like when people make fun of like British people. So then it's just like so over the top, and in a way, sorry, over the top bad, because the rest of Troian's performance is over the top great, like all the way.
Yeah, it really kind of counters it.
Right, her body language, even the tone she's using for like her lines and everything, are like delivered great, but just in the Cockney accent just kills it.
And then in the scene where like you're trying to tell which one's Spencer and which one's Alex, like the way her mannerisms show up in the one versus the other, and like the way she mocks Spencer, like to try to make it seem like it's her, you know, it's so well done, but the accent is awful.
No. Yeah. Not good.
Awful. It's bad.
Yeah. It's really unfortunate.
Because
like we said, the rest of her performance as Alex is great. It's just some bad directing on picking that accent.
Well, and yeah, I mean, I assume she worked with a coach and all of that. So it's like a lot of choices were made that could have been corrected, because there is no reason to give her a specific region.
No. And I'm assuming it's trying to be that she's working class.
Exactly. It's like a working Londoner, or, you know, like kind of like, but I'm like, why can't she have a posh accent that she learned? Yeah. Like, why wouldn't she have an accent to try to make herself like seem more elevated? Because for her, like she feels embarrassed about her upbringing. So the idea that like she has this privileged twin, you know, like there was lots of ways you could have played with it.
Totally. And there's also some very like more pedestrian accents that you could have chosen and still been like, yeah, she's working class.
Also, she didn't even need to be British. Like she could have just like gone there. She could have studied abroad. Like, there were lots of ways to play with that.
Right. Well, unfortunately, the core of yeah, exactly.
But she could have gone to school at Oxford. You know what I mean? She could have been brilliant, but like
right. Rather than
impoverished.
having been, like,
you know what I mean? Like
given to a British family that then gave her up to live in an orphanage, like Oliver Twist.
Poor kids go to fancy schools too. You know what I mean? Like there's lots of ways to.
Yeah.
Especially at that time. I mean, no, college is so expensive, but that's when we were in college and stuff. And I mean, they're around our age and in our fakeness or theory, but they were putting out different programs to try to pay your tuition so you could go to a nicer school if you've met the qualification. So it's like, couldn't we have played with this character that maybe wasn't just like, oh, I'm stuck this way. And like, it's just so not her either. Like the idea that she's like, I've settled into this life. Like, yeah. I'm not trying to like better my life. I'm working at not that it's bad to work at a bar, but like in her way of viewing her life, it's like, I'm working at this like dead end job and I'm stuck. And then like my one opportunity is to go steal the life from my twin sister. Like, it doesn't make any fucking sense.
No, because we don't know who Alex is.
I feel crazy saying it.
It is. It is, because we have no context for any of it.
Well, but we know she's really smart. We know she built the game. So it's like, there's no reason for her to not have been either like, not that you need to go to college to be smart, obviously. You can be smart in any way, especially in like the way she shows up, which is like puzzles and logic. But there's just like no way that person wouldn't have chased academic validation like Spencer.
I mean, it doesn't even have to be that, right? Give us a good reason of why she feels lost in the life she has. We have no idea what the life she had was. Mm-hmm. It's just that she was isolated for some reason and worked at a bar. Yeah. And that's it. So it's like we get there's no backing behind her wanting to go like try and steal Spencer's life. Mm-mm. Other than being like rich.
Jealous.
Yeah, and jealous, but like, why is she jealous? We don't know what, like, she's jealous because she had the upbringing that Alex didn't have, but we don't know Alex's upbringing other than vaguely put in an orphanage.
Well, and then she stays because she really wants Toby. She decides that Toby loves her.
Him?
To which we all went, huh.
The Toby.
The Toby of it all.
Toby of it all, truly, in this episode.
But they do redeem Toby a little bit in this episode. He knew which one was Spencer.
Yeah, of course.
And that felt good for me.
Yeah. But then why did they end up together? I don't know. But
also, so the thing that is the strangest to me in the scene, and we have to recap the episode still, but the thing that's strangest to me in the scene where we find out Toby's like, oh, this one's Alex and this one's Spencer, is when he's like, what is your favorite poem in the book of poetry you read? And Spencer answers, but that doesn't make any fucking sense because Spencer didn't give him the fucking book. But I guess it's just like, what's your favorite poem?
Right. And it's like, oh, it's this one. Best guess?
Yeah, but like, wouldn't she be like, I didn't give you a book of poetry? Right.
And that would still probably prove it?
Yeah.
Like
because he's confused because he's like, oh, Spencer probably wouldn't have kissed me. No wonder. I thought that was weird. Gee, Willikers.
Right. I thought I was getting lucky.
But he wasn't. He was still going to marry Yvonne. It was just a goodbye kiss.
Yvonne. Poor Yvonne.
Yeah. They just had to get her out of the way.
There's a lot of girls that got done dirty on this show. A lot of women.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nicole, somewhere still recovering.
I hope she gets a lot of money from that book.
Yeah, seriously. Oh, God.
All right. Do you want to recap it?
Yeah.
Okay. Best of luck. It's an 1.5-hour episode.
All right. Well, we'll
try. I forgot that.
I was like, oh, this is a big one. I understand your series finale. You make it a big one, but Season 7, Episode 20, Episode 160, Till Death Do Us Part. The friends catch up at night dishing goss. Lucas comes up and tap dances around their table. They say hi and ignore him. Jenna rides up on a horse wearing a ringmaster costume, and they ignore her too. They discuss how they never figured out who AD was and are now living a normal life. Spencer quotes Christopher Paolini, the author of Aragon, about how without fear there is no courage. I laughed at this because I was like, what a random offer to pull out. But like, YA audience, maybe? Is that what we're trying to do here? Do you think?
When did the Aragon movie come out? I was in high school, actually. Never mind.
Yeah, that was a while ago. But he's been writing books. Like, he's kept on. He wrote like sci-fi series and things. Anyways, it starts to snow and the camera zooms out to see it's Mona looking at a snow globe in sanitarium. Not Radley, though. It's Welby that we find out later. Someone walks in wearing black and she says, I never would have guessed it was you. Are you here to kill me? We get a 1 year later card. Ari and Fitz walk in a movie studio backlot, and their book might become a movie, and they're going to get married this week. Emily feeds 2 babies. They had twins. One is named Lily and the other is Grace. Emily walks with the 2 kids as Allie leaves for a meeting with someone named Jen. Allie instead goes to the Radley and sees Pam. Pam has to make sure Emily doesn't know she's there. Allison hates lying to Emily, and Pam thanks her for giving her peace of mind. Spencer and Melissa brush a horse. Melissa is leaving soon, and Spencer says how nice it's been to see her.
One more thing. Sorry. We all of a sudden in this hour-and-a-half finale, we know Spencer's ridden horses. They never once, they were going to make the horse a plot point in this final episode. They waited until the last episode to show us the fucking horse.
Yeah.
We had years to get one scene of Spencer brushing that horse. It didn't have to be a lot.
Just couldn't afford it, maybe?
Well, I don't know. In the one episode, Hannah got kicked by the horse or whatever.
Oh, right. Yeah, but there's nothing with Spencer.
And Hannah rode a horse with Mona and Kate and them. Why didn't she take Spencer?
Kate. Got Kate. Yeah, Spencer, known horse girl.
Yeah. Sorry, I digress.
No. Yeah.
Questions I have.
This is the exact thing.
This is what it felt like when you watched like the Veronica Mars movie. Except that was for fans, so it was amazing. It was a great movie.
Oh, yeah, that was a great movie.
Honestly, it was one of the best things out of the whole Veronica Mars franchise. It was fun.
Funny watching it the first time. I was like, this movie isn't that great. Then we watched it for the podcast. I'm like, this is the best thing.
It's for fans. It's like reading fan fiction, and it was delicious, and it was well done, and it was fun. If I remember correctly. I don't know. You'd have to listen to the podcast. What if I like absolutely raked it over the coals?
No, I remember we both came out of it being like, yay.
That was great. But that's like, to me, that's what this felt like. It's like, oh, here's like a random, like almost like movie ending.
Yeah.
But then it wasn't good.
Uh-huh. Are you talking about the entire episode?
Yeah. Like, I think like it came off that way because it's all of a sudden got its own plot. Like it's like when you had me watch, was it the movie that went with Sakura, the anime?
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
How like the movie doesn't actually affect the plot of the television show.
Yeah.
But it just like neatly nestles in, but it's its own storyline.
Yeah.
That's what this begins to feel like, where you're like, okay, Pretty Little Liars is over, and now we got this like addendum movie.
Yeah, that's true. And unfortunately, it's tying up questions from
the show itself.
Yes. So then you can't help but feel disappointed because it's like, wait, this new villain that you brought in, damn, you're totally right. You hit the nail on the head. This is the anime movie of the series.
Thank you. I took a lot of comparative literature classes.
Right. Because like you mentioned, Sakura, that's like a very common thing with anime. It's like where they'll put out a movie that has nothing to do with the impact on the show because the show may be in progress or there's like other extenuating things, or it could be wrapped up and they're still trying to like market the show. So then you have to stick it somewhere. Yeah.
Spit it in.
That's right. That's where this feels like at best mid, this episode.
There are some gems though, like
Totally.
Wren. Also, you'll have to go back through our YouTube and see all the comments people left of diamonds randomly.
They've been planning it
I know
all
for
along.
sure that there's one.
That's so funny.
Because Heather did it. Like from the very beginning.
Damn, that's good. Good job.
Yeah.
That's great.
I was like, it's not a spoiler, so it's fine. Because he's just like, oh, cool, shiny.
It's a shiny diamond.
It was like season 1, too.
That's cool. Right. I hadn't even probably met, or I had met
You
Wren,
had met
actually.
Wren.
He's in the pilot.
Yeah, Wren's been around since the beginning.
And then he just disappears and he has the worst things happen to him.
He shaves his head and his life just goes to shit.
It really does. Oh, God. So Spencer tells Melissa how nice it's been seeing her again. She sees a scruffy man down the road, and it's Toby. He's been working with Jason in Africa, then wandering.
As an unwashed boy.
Yeah. Who the hell is that? And he was working with Jason in Africa, and then he's just been wandering the U.S. He's apparently in town for the wedding. Spencer shows him her horse.
What total man shit.
Right.
Like, I'm finding myself.
Just gonna wander the U.S. And
at least he stayed here instead of like going and finding himself in another country and annoying other people.
Well, I mean, he did because he was working with Jason in Africa.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Never mind.
Yep. At least he built some houses. Spencer shows him her horse and then mentions that like, oh, this horse can be really skittish. It only likes certain people like me. I had to really get it used to me. And this will come up later. Chekhov's horse. Spencer also bought the truck back or bought one that looks very similar. Allison teaches
No, she said she saw it
on eBay.
On eBay, and she couldn't help it because he sold it. I think he probably totaled and sold it.
That is the actual truck.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm assuming so.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's why I hedged my bet of like, or something very similar. Allison teaches class on Then and Now, which is Fitz and Ezria's book. They get meta about the story's ending and not wanting them to end. Oh, hey, the show's ending. Addison talks shit on Arya and calls Allison a slur? Question mark. Allison stops her after class and grabs her arm and tells her, you may think you won the battle, but I'll win the war. Addison's like, I can bury you with that, but that wouldn't be the first time someone has. That's a pretty good dig.
It was so good. I was like, you know what? This is like when Noel Kahn was like, Emily, like what was it? Like I knew you'd never make it out of here.
Out of this town, yeah. But the way that Allison and then Jenna just like berate Addison, a student at the school, is insane.
I can smell a bitch from a mile away.
We'll be getting to that. It's a great line, but I'm like, this is like a 17-year-old.
I was like, also, she put her hands on a student.
She did. She grabbed her arm. So, like, Addison absolutely has a case.
You guys are just getting yourself in trouble.
Mm-hmm. And then we'll forget about Addison about quarter into this episode.
But don't worry, we'll bring her back at the end.
Yeah.
Chekhov's Mean Girl.
Pretty much. She's gonna get got. Emily sees Allison after class, and Allison says, we have to know someone who could take care of her, motioning toward Addison.
Which is my evidence for why at the end of the episode, I think Emily and Allison killed Addison.
Uh-huh. A girl opens up her locker and finds a baby doll inside with a knife in its chest. Allison asks if she's being bullied by Allison. The girl is deaf and says,
Addison.
No, she's fine. Addison, yes.
Emily asks if she's being bullied by Addison, right?
Yes.
You said Allison asked her she's being bullied by Allison, I think.
It's coming back around. It's the Spider-Man pointing meme. She says, no, she's fine. Jenna walks up to Addison and tells her to get to class. Addison says, some of us can see and hear. Jenna says, so go. Addison waves her hand in front of Jenna's face. Jenna then grabs her hand and says, I may not be able to see, but I could smell a bitch from a mile away. And then Allison says, oh, she's like the new life skills teacher around here.
Okay.
They're teaching life skills already.
But so Jenna grabbing the student, totally fine because she put her hand in her face. Like she's messing with her. Allison just grabbing the child.
On the way out of like, I'm pissed at you.
Two very different cases. In my theory. In my opinion, I should say. In my theory.
Right. In your theory, yeah.
This is my theory.
But that they make Jenna just go full daredevil in this episode. Hannah and Caleb argue over seeing Mona at Welby now, and now she's coming to the loft, which they bought together from Lucas. Hannah's designs are doing well, and Caleb sold his software to Lucas. He says, we've been doing so well. And Mona arrives, and Caleb walks to a different room, huffily. Hannah reassures Mona on getting better, and Hannah and Caleb are going to be out for the night for the bachelorette party. Arya and Fitz arrive at the Lost Woods. Spencer and Allison updated it, so it's like this nice swanky place. Arya asks if they've told Mary. Allison says, we've decided that once we're ready, we'll tell her together. All the friends and partners are there for the big party in the courtyard at the Lost Woods. We see the loft TV is on, but Mona isn't there. The friends are having dinner and discuss Ezria's big event coming up. They hear people screaming, and apparently it's a church camp across the lake, but the screaming sets Arya on edge. Hannah and Caleb are bickering, and Hannah gets a dig at Caleb since they never took a honeymoon in front of everybody, and it gets very awkward. We see someone in a black hoodie watching, and it's Melissa. After dinner, they all swap stories around a bonfire. Spencer notices Hannah's looking sad, so invites her to get a drink. Spencer asks what's going on with her and Caleb. Hannah says Mona's living out at her place, and Spencer judges her for it, but Hannah defends her. They head back to the bonfire. Emerson step away to have some alone time away from the kids. Wink. Caleb head out, followed by Ezria, so only Toby and Spencer are left. Spencer's working in her mom's law firm as a paralegal and going to law school. She asks Toby if he wants to take her back to her room. Cut to them playing Scrabble. Ooh. Spencer talks about how good the family is between her, mom, and Melissa. Jesus Christ. Ezria have sex. Emerson are hooking up when Allison stops and makes sure that Emily knows that she'll always be there for her. Emily's like, yeah, is everything good? And Allison says, it's fine. Hannah lies in bed while Caleb acts.
Our dog is just casing the joint. He's just walking in circles. We have this really weird setup where we have like a door inside the house that opens to a door, or it opens to like a window area, and he has gone from underneath the desk to, we could see his butt as he walked into the hallway, and then through the bedroom, out the other door into the atrium, and then now he's sitting under my desk on the other side of the room. But he was just casually circling like a vulture.
Just looking around.
He's like, what the hell are you doing? I thought we were done with this show.
Hannah lies in bed while Caleb acts passive-aggressive. Hannah has her legs up on the wall and asks him to be quiet because she's trying to get pregnant. Caleb says, I'm a passenger in our marriage, and he has no control, and if she's not ready for his input on Mona, then maybe she's not ready for a baby. This is so funny for Caleb to say after they absolutely just had sex.
Yeah, I'm like...
It's like, I'm a passenger.
You know when the best time to bring up, like, hey, it's probably not a good idea to have a baby? Before you do the baby making activity. Just for everyone out there who's confused. Make sure you decide that and take the proper precautions before.
Caleb is like, I have serious doubts about us having a baby, but I'm more horny than that, so I'm going to bring it up afterwards. Arya gets a call in the middle of the night and steps away from Fitz. We only hear Arya ask, are you sure? And we see Melissa watching her from outside. Spencer comes back in the room to Toby asleep next to the board. She leaves a message in the letters and leaves the room. She hears Arya sobbing, and Arya says she can't marry Fitz. Melissa walks through the woods and then reveals it's Mona in a mask. It's so fucking needless. The friends are all up helping Arya. Allison asks if she wants to get through the ceremony holding on to something like that. Wonder what it could be. Mona talks to AD on the phone and AD is now a Mona deepfake. She says Arya is keeping this from Fitz. We'd be crazy not to use it. And AD says it's not part of the plan. Mona says, what is your plan? You had me wear a Melissa mask and not use it? AD says, it's a test. You passed. And it's actually for the audience at home. Mona says, does that mean you'll tell me who you are? And AD says, not yet. The next day, Arya knocks over a wine glass at the apartment and cries. Fitz is like, what's going on? She says, I thought I was late and got confirmation from the doctors last night. I can't have kids. Fitz hugs her. Hannah and Caleb come home and can't find Mona. Caleb goes to call the cops as Mona rounds the corner, and then Caleb stares her down. Mary is led into a room at the prison to meet with the visitor. It's Spencer. Mary says, I missed you, sweetheart. It's been weeks since your last visit. She says, sorry, I missed you too, Mom. Do we find this out? I don't know if this is actually Spencer or if it's Alex.
I think it's Alex.
Yeah, I think so too. All right. Fitz tells Arya they'll get through it and they can adopt or get a surrogate to have a family. Arya nods her head and they hug. Spencer asks Mary how she's holding up. Mary says it's a struggle and asks how she's been. Spencer asks her for help. Hannah, Caleb, and Mona go to a party and see Ashley. Ashley's surprised she's there, and Mona's like, I'm surprised I'm here too. Allie, Emily, and Arya come up, and Allison asks, are you nuts? And Arya's like, why would you bring her to my rehearsal dinner? It is truly a wild decision. Hannah says Caleb doesn't want me to leave her home alone. And who knows? I mean, you put on a water dish, but she needs to be walked.
Who's going to take her out?
Exactly. Spencer comes up as Hannah begs them to pretend to be a friend, and Spencer says she can do that.
It's so out of pocket to bring a random to your friend's rehearsal dinner, but also like a random that literally was also trapped in the dollhouse with you, but also like,
Arya's on the record that she does not like her.
No, and she dated Mike, and it was a whole... Arya's told Mona to die and then told Mona never to say she's going to die. Like, Arya's got conflicted feelings about Mona. Maybe it's a little romantic. Who's to say?
Oh, that's something.
That would have been a duo.
Arena.
Maria?
It's a me. But even if you brought someone, even if it doesn't have the track record that Mona does with Arya, you don't just bring someone to the rehearsal dinner. Especially someone that is just like, you could even bring someone that like, it's even like bringing someone that they don't like. Like, it's just like, I never got along with that person. It's like, don't bring them. Fitz tells Arya that, oh wait, sorry, I was already on that one. Hannah says Caleb doesn't want, I already got all that. Fitz gives Byron a 40-year-old scotch. He says, I never asked for your blessing because I never felt like you and Ella ever accepted me. Byron says, you never worked to prove us wrong. You never made a good argument. And that's why we feel good about having you as a son-in-law. I was like losing my mind.
It's disgusting.
That's why we
see.
Feel
This
so
is another
good.
one of those like Veronica Mars movie moments. Like, it's like, what's this fan service?
It is. It's like, let's just make everybody feel good about this. You never made us feel good. You just focused on Arya feeling good. I'm like, no, he did not. Eventually he did, but there was a lot of bumps in the road there, my guy. Mama Fitz is annoyed at Ella. She walks away and Ella asks for a whole bottle of wine. Ashley and Veronica come up to goss. Ella says, sometimes I wish we were still in the basement. Veronica's like, remember how we got out of it? Well, we won't tell anybody. Cheers. They also say that Pam didn't drink for a year afterwards. Toby catches up with Emily. Out of all the things that they explain in this episode for no reason, can't even throw us a bone here. I mean, Marlene's is like, well... Marlene spoke to this and was like, yeah, we couldn't come up with something that would be like good enough for like fans. So we thought it would just be good to like throw something in there about Pam not drinking, which is funny, but
why create? So I think it's kind of irresponsible as a writer and a creator to create a problem without a solution in a show. I mean, I think there are I don't think everything needs to be explained. Like, I think there's it's overdone, especially in this show. But I also think like that in particular is something they could have easily come up with a solution
absolutely.
for.
It's like, remember how we were stuck in there until the police came a day later?
Yeah, or like the girls noticed we didn't come home and they found us all asleep with our 3 bottles of wine crying. You know, we raided the De Laurentiis cellar while we were down there. We dug our way out.
Right. Now that would be good.
That'd been funny.
Yeah.
Dug their way out with like plastic forks or something, you know, like
just give
tunneling.
us there's like any number of like easily plausible things that like it doesn't have to be a big deal.
Yeah.
They explain so much else for no reason that like it's notable that they don't do it for this.
And it's like, yeah, it's a weird choice.
Yeah.
But we're never going to really explain in the show how Cece got the bodies.
Toby catches up with Emily. Emily sees Allison talking with Pam, but they walk away. Emily stops 2 girls from school, Hetty and Willa. Willa is
Sydney Sweeney, right?
Yeah. Hetty says Addison is nice to me and I don't want to be on the wrong side of her. Emily says she's Maya's niece. Did
Maya have a sibling?
I don't think so. I think only in the book. And Willa says you don't say no to someone like Addison. She'd have to be dead first. Oh, okay. We probably won't talk about like Willa does not matter in the context of things, but I found it funny after watching Madam Web that there are multiple things where it's like, we need to put Sydney Sweeney in glasses. She is the nerd. Toby stands outside as Spencer leaves. Toby asks if she wants to see her Sunday and says, you finished our Scrabble game. She finished it with limerence, which is means unrequited love.
Well, it actually means like a lot of things, but yeah. Like
so then that's when Spencer, I think to your point, Spencer goes like, yeah, okay. But they get interrupted by the moms who Spencer is driving home. Ashley stops Hannah outside and says, don't take for granted the people who love you the most. Hannah says, you think I'm wrong about Mona. Ashley nods her head and says, but I'm still on your side. Also, don't take for granted the people who love you the most. Mona might love her the most by volume.
Limerence is a state of mind that involves an obsessive attachment to another person, often described as intense and an irrational form of love.
Hey, Toby, you might need to back off.
But she used it.
Yeah. This is a warning to Toby.
It's a longing that can last for years and become addictive and be sustained by a combination of hope and doubt.
Toby, I think you need to move on. I think you need to look up this word. I think this is what's happening.
Well, I was assuming she was meaning it about herself to him.
I know, but in my mind, it's like, move on. Aryan Fitz.
I mean, if you're talking about Yvonne, he
did not move on.
Well, I think he did.
Oh, from Yvonne's death?
Yeah.
Yeah, he really did. I'm talking about Spencer.
Oh, yeah. No, he's never moved on from Spencer.
Yeah. Including when he was
with Yvonne.
Yeah, and then Yvonne died being like, well, cool. This man married me, didn't really love me.
But at least she got to eat an eclair.
Yeah, that's true. Aryan Fitz walk into the...
No, I want to go.
Right. Eat an eclair. Arya and Fitz walk into the Radley. Arya's feeling sorry, hearing all the talk from the family, asking about them having a family. Arya says, I've been to 3 doctors about this. And Fitz is like, wait, hold on. How long have you known? Arya says, longer than a few weeks. Fitz says, I thought we were doing this all together. And then Arya says, I was scared and I thought this would be something you couldn't get over. Fitz is like, you think so little of me. Arya says, it was about me. Can you understand that? Fitz says, I do, but I wish you had as much faith in me as I have in you.
These two should not be getting married.
Nope.
I don't even like making my own doctor's appointments. Like, I'm not gonna hide information
You
from
just
you.
share all that. Yeah.
I'm like, will you call? I don't want to pay the bill.
Emma's in clean up before bed. Allison asks if Emily is pissed at her, and Emily's like, I saw you with my mom at the party. What were you whispering about? She put something in your purse. What was it? She avoided me all night. What's going on? And Allison says, remind me to never throw you a surprise party. And she pulls out a ring from her purse, and it's Emily's grandma ring. And then Allie proposes to Emily, and Emily's like, yes. Caleb is up late watching TV, and Hannah comes in to talk. Caleb says, I don't know what what to say. The decisions you make don't just affect you.
I'm confused by this room. So the couch is sideways and the TV is like back and to the
Like the left.
to the left.
Kind of like
So he's like
staring
sitting
up that way.
sideways facing, and it's a really strange setup.
Yeah.
So they had
It's
money
like one
to
of those,
like,
aesthetic, like sort of
yeah,
decisions.
they like bought the loft from Lucas. They redid all of the loft and everything, but then he couldn't take her on a little honeymoon?
I know. What's up with that, Caleb?
Or like, did she not ask?
Right. I guess it, I don't know. Yeah, I thought that was important too, of like, why no honeymoon?
And also like, did they never take a trip at all? Like, did they just finally come into like, they got settled with their jobs and their money? And so like, why not go now before you have
before
baby?
the baby. I don't know.
I have questions.
Yeah, because I get the sense that it is not just Mona that the problem is, but yet it all seems to be Mona. You know what I mean? It's like that this is
They're
now a
using
new
Mona as the
problem.
catalyst for,
Yeah.
well, whereas before it was her job, and it's,
Now there's always something else.
yeah. So I'm like, what's up with this relationship, my friends?
Yeah. Well, we get no answers.
Even at the very end, she's like, I told Caleb I wouldn't tell anybody, and I'm like, you should be able to tell your friends. I think hiding pregnancies, everyone's personal journey. Personally, I hate suffering alone. Everyone within a 60-mile radius would know. Because that's just who I am. But I totally get the people that don't want to tell, because it's like, a lot of pregnancies end in a miscarriage, and there's a lot of emotion on that, and then having to tell people and stuff. But the idea
and it's
that
more risky, right, to tell earlier because of miscarriage, right?
yeah, it was just, I mean, it doesn't, I don't think it impacts your risk, but it is just like, you're statistically, if you're going to lose the baby, that's the time where you're going to,
Right.
or the
That's what
pregnancy, I
meant.
should say.
Yeah.
It's not really a baby yet. But even then, it's like she's hiding things. They're like, oh, it's okay to have secrets, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? There's no one learned it. This is not like when you read a book and at the end of the story, you're like, the character grew. In this case, you're like, did they regress in the last season and a half?
It kind of
We
did.
should have ended at season 5.
Yeah. And it was supposed to. And then they're like, well, we got a renewal. All right. So it doesn't just affect you. Hannah says, I hear you. I'll tell Mona it's not going to work out. I'll tell her first thing in the morning. Is that okay? Caleb says, sure. Sure. How much damage could she do? Never say that. Toby gets a knock at the door to his hotel room and opens it to Spencer, and then they have sex. But it's actually Alex. Spencer is back at the barn and hears classical music start playing. She walks into the living room and asks if it's Toby. Mona, wearing a black hoodie, steps out of the shadows. She says, deja vu, bitch, and hits her with something. Spencer wakes up in a room that looks like a cell with clear, heavy plastic walls or something. She sees a reflection as she hits her head, and as she had hit her head, and then we see it's not a reflection, but it's her twin. The twin says, boo, in a British accent. And Mary comes in and says, we didn't think you'd wake up so soon. Mary comes in and injects Spencer with something to tranquilize her. Fitz speaks to someone and asks them to keep it private. He stands up and runs into Spencer and asks what she's doing there, which is actually Alex. Officer Barry tells Emerson that Mary escaped prison. Barry says she's probably not alone. You and your friend should stay vigilant. But we're not going to help you. Just stay vigilant. Spencer wakes up on the bed in the cell with her leg chained. Her twin speaks in a British accent. Spencer asks who she is. The twin says, I am a girl who just took in a man from the rain. Flashback. Alex, I'm just going to say now, is working in a pub as Wren comes in to grab a beer and asks what Spencer's doing there. He keeps pestering her while she's weirded out by him. She introduces herself as Alex Drake, and Wren is flabbergasted. Back in the present, Alex says she didn't know about Charlotte or Spencer or Mary. Wren showed her a picture of Spencer, and then Wren told her everything. Melissa wasn't dating him at that point, so we have to, he's all good then. He's not stepping out, everybody. And Alex says he was fair game, so I guess he has a type. Spencer asks if Wren is part of this, and Alex says, after Charlotte died, I needed closure. Wren let me come alone because I needed closure. After Mona was confused, I went back to him. Or actually, after Mona confessed. Apologies. Spencer says, if you're out there pretending to be me, my friends will figure it out. And Alex says, I already have been out there. Flashback. Alex was the one with Hannah in the barn when she was captured. Alex was also the one looking at the Fanning photo album at the end of an episode. She was the one who kissed Toby and also had sex with Toby. Present. Spencer says Mary pretended to be Jessica to sleep with Peter. Now you pretend to be me with Toby. What does Wren think? Alex says he doesn't care anymore, but there was a time he'd do anything for me. Flashback. Alex was the one that was with Wren at the airport when they ran into Fitz. He asks if she's really doing this for Charlotte, and Alex says, those bitches took my sister. They're getting everything they deserve. Wren says he misses her. Back in the present. Alex says, when the game was over, I went back to London, but I couldn't stop thinking about you and how good you have it. Flashback again. Wren tells Alex that this is too much. Alex says Spencer got everything and I got nothing. Wren says you have Charlotte's money. Isn't that enough? Alex says she has money, family, and friends who love her. I want to know what that feels like. Wren says tell them the truth and they'll understand. Alex says after everything I put them through, they'd never understand. Fair. He asks if he says he loves her, and she asks if he loves her, and Wren says till death do us part. Alex then puts a gun in his hand and says, if you love me, shoot me. Alex says I have to look exactly like her. Wren struggles, but eventually shoots her. So this doesn't make sense timeline-wise, right?
What do you mean?
Because Alex and Toby had sex before Mona confessed. Or did I get that wrong?
No, it's the same night. Yeah.
It's the same night.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that doesn't make sense. So she flew back in one night and then... Yeah, okay.
Or did Wren come?
Right, and she's just like, hey, I gotta go have sex with Toby real quick. Can you shoot me? And Wren struggles, but eventually shoots her. Also, Wren shoots her from across the room with one hand and not looking at her. And it's like... You could have hit her in the head.
And then he's like, oh, I got you. Okay, so I have some logistical questions. Did Wren take her to a hospital for the gunshot wound?
What did you do there?
Because he was working at Radley. Is Wren capable of removing a bullet and taking care of a gunshot wound?
He was at a hospital before Radley. Because that's when the jump to Radley, we were like, wait, but that's not the same practice.
I mean, I don't know what he does at Radley. I guess maybe he was doing physical injury,
Maybe. But then he's also advising... No, he's doing other stuff that's he's almost advising Mona like a doctor. It's like, she can't be seen right now.
He's sketch.
He's a Swiss Army doctor. Put him anywhere. Alex says, I wanted to be with you, Wren, or be you with Wren, but he always thought of me as Alex. Spencer's like, well, you broke up with him. Alex says, I could never do that, but he's close by. I turned his ashes into a stone because diamonds last forever.
An eternity stone.
Alex is literally... She's a super villain. Alex goes to get ready for the wedding and leaves and closes Spencer in the cell.
Do you see why that's my favorite death of all time?
It's so good.
It's so fucking funny.
It's so ridiculous.
And then she's telling the baby, she's like, your father is so pretty.
Yeah, took his seed, turned him into a stone. She just destroyed this man. And then who knows telling of how much he helped with everything and paying her getting there. The friends are all in their bridal gowns and agree not to tell Arya that Mary is on the run. Arya comes around the corner in her wedding dress, and I said it looks like what a skeleton would wear in the Haunted Mansion. They all talk about how pretty she is.
I forgot about that. That's so fucking funny.
I put it in parentheses. They all talk about how pretty she is, and Emily and Alex cry. They take a selfie together. Pam comes in with one of the twins, and Alex comforts the baby. Alex talks to the baby alone and says, you have your daddy's eyes, Wren's eyes.
I knew he'd make pretty babies.
Mary visits Spencer. She says she's trapped in there as well. Spencer's upset and thinks she's involved. And Mary says, I took the rap for Dunhill, so I think I deserve your trust. Aren't you being a little rude right now, young lady? I was like, that's so uncalled for. She gives Spencer a meal through the bottom of the cell door. Spencer asks where they are. Mary says she doesn't know, but she was put to sleep as well. But Alex promised her Spencer would be safe in time.
So how did Alex get her out of the jail?
Wait, how did Alex get Mary out of jail?
Mm-hmm.
God knows. So funny. And Spencer will earn Alex's trust and eventually be let out of the cell. Spencer says, why didn't you tell me? And Mary says, I didn't know if she was alive or where she was. Mary's like, your parents didn't know about the second child. She sold Alex. And Dr. Cochran arranged to like have her transported to the family. She received half the money, which bought her out of Radley. Alex went to a wealthy family in London, but had some issues as she grew older. Her parents left her at an orphanage when she was still really young, before she could even remember them. She was given her real name, Alex Drake, and ran away from her orphanage on her 10th birthday. Spencer cries, and Mary opens up her cell and hugs her. Spencer thanks her, and Mary says, you don't have to thank me, I'm your mother. Mary then closes the door and leaves. And then we see that Spencer has a bobby pin. Byron and the bridal party reassure Arya, who's upset, and it seems to be about Fitz. They can't track him down. Uh-oh. Alex says she should try calling him again. Caleb asks why Fitz isn't there. Apparently, he sent Arya a text that he's not coming. Spencer hears someone else and sees that Fitz is in another cell. When Alex saw Fitz, he followed her since something seemed off, but then it all went blank. And he ended up here. Arya's sad at the Radley. Emerson are there to help her feel better. There's a knock at the door, and Arya runs up to see if it's him, but it's Hannah. Spencer tries to pick the cell lock, but hears someone come in. It's Alex, who says, hello, sister. Fitz tells her she doesn't have to do this. We both know why you became AD. Alex locks him in and shuts his door, so he literally can't talk. He's like behind like a wall. Spencer says, we can forgive you just like we forgave Mona. Alex is like, I'm not going to buy that bluff because I know you didn't. And Spencer says, it's about Toby too. Alex says he can be with his one true love now. You can't thank Mary for saving you. You can thank Mary for saving you. She saved you here, and at the Blythe School. Spencer says, so that was you and Sydney. And Alex says, she was a one-off. She was stealing from a bank, and I knew it. Jenna, though, earned my respect. Jenna recruited Noel to find her because she knew Charlotte had a sister, and the Kerosene group was just the tip of the iceberg. Apparently, Charlotte left everything to Alex. Jenna never found out who Alex was, but Alex paid for her surgery, and the surgery didn't take for Jenna. Charlotte apparently told Sarah that she hid her greatest treasure in the Radley, and it was the file on her mom. Alex says she just wanted a family. Like, Jesus Christ, that paragraph is just like, hey, in case you have like lingering mysteries, here's something, here's something, here's something.
But also it doesn't make any fucking sense, because how could Cece leave everything to Alex if like the government doesn't know Alex exists?
Right.
Because Marco, if he had seen Spencer had a twin, would have mentioned her twin to her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, notably absent.
But you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't, like, how you can't leave anything to her. I mean, maybe I guess in the UK.
Trust to nobody else? No, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it would have to all be, like, I guess, if she exists in the UK, like, legally. Like, you know what I mean?
Unmarked
it's all
bills in a briefcase?
It's all done in London.
I don't know
the city,
where the criminals are.
The city of London.
Where Jack the Ripper is. Flashback, when Charlotte left the country after helping Allison, she met Dunhill on a plane and charmed him. Wren calls Charlotte, who organized the meetup between her and Alex. Back in the present, Alex and Charlotte got along super well. Charlotte and Archer started a great love affair. His con on Allison, though, was all him. He convinced Mary to join him on behalf of Charlotte. It's so funny that Alex is like, they had such a great love affair, and then it's like, okay, actually, he was an asshole.
Okay,
Charlotte...
but wait, so how did Wren know that Alex was related to both Spencer and Cece? Like, he looked at her and knew she was Spencer's twin.
And then how was Wren still in contact with Cece?
Well, because he knew her from Radley.
Right. And did he help her get out?
So then I guess maybe he got Alex's last name, and then he was like, oh, Drake? Maybe.
But then, wait, but for her coming into the country, how did he know that she came into the country? Have they been working together? See, we gloss over all this stuff.
Like the interesting stuff.
And then we get some really stupid, like, solutions to things.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, Spencer has a twin.
Yeah. Charlotte really loved Dunhill, though. Charlotte, Archer, Wren, and Alex used to do everything together. They were the best of buds. Before Cece went back to Rosewood because she really missed the game. Flashback, Charlotte denies Alex's request to come with her back to Rosewood, and Alex is upset by this. She wants to meet Spencer in the Hastings. Charlotte gives Alex a gift and tells her she loves her and leaves. Alex opens it, and it's a Patsy Cline record. So now you know why Patsy Cline was playing in the dollhouse for no reason. It is a gift from Charlotte.
Well, the
Charlotte
dollhouse would have.
Patsy Cline.
Yeah, so the dollhouse would have been Charlotte's music. That's why it would have been.
But that's the connection back because Charlotte loved Patsy Cline. Okay, that has nothing to do with anything. Back in the present, Alex says she never came back to London. Spencer asks why she thinks Charlotte didn't want the two of them to meet. Alex says, I trusted her when she told me you were toxic. I heard you were toxic. Spencer asks what's going to happen to Fitz. Alex says he's not family, so enjoy his company while you can. At the Radley suite, the girls are all asleep while Alex roams the hall. She climbs in bed next to Arya and Hannah. Alex says to Arya, I think you and I are going to be the closest of them all.
They always pick Arya.
Except for Mona and Lucas.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Alex goes to see Spencer's horse, who freaks out when she tries to put a saddle on him. Toby runs up and asks if she's okay, and Alex says, he's just having a bad day. Best thing to do is walk away. Goodbye. The friends dig through the Fitz's apartment looking for clues of why he would leave. Arya finds his packed bag. A man comes to the door with champagne to escort Arya and Fitz for their hot air balloon ride. The friends wonder why he'd do that if he wasn't planning on marrying her. Alex is outside the Hastings law office. Jenna meets with Veronica on a civil case against Addison. Jenna asks if she's wearing a new perfume, and Alex says, it's horsehair. I was at the stables with Toby, but Jenna doesn't buy it. When Alex walks away, Jenna calls Toby and says, I know this sounds weird, but I don't think Spencer's Spencer. To which Toby apparently takes at face value. Caleb hacks into Fitz's card and sees he hasn't used it. Caleb also sees his car is still at the Radley. Toby comes in and says he looked at the book that Spencer gave him the day before him and Yvonne were going to get married, and it's not the book that it was hers because there's no markings in it. What if twins run in the family? Emily says if Spencer had a twin, that would make her Charlotte's half-sister. We see that Mona's spying on the friends as they discuss this. She calls someone and says, it's time for plan B. You need to tell me where you are and who you are. Spencer tries to pick a lock as we hear Alex and Mary fighting. They leave the front door of a house as Mary says it's not too late to get away. Alex says, no, I'm not going anywhere without Toby. Mary says he's in love with Spencer, not you. Alex says, I'm Spencer now. Look at me. Mary tries to appeal to her, and Alex punches her and knocks her out cold. Damn, she's got a mean right hook. Mona comes clean to the friends and tells them that Wren came to her when she was at Welby to try to kill her, but she convinced him that she could get Mary out of prison. Mona says she knows where Alex is and gives...
so out of pocket. Wren's like, I'm going to kill you while you're at Welby?
Wren was doing such wild things. Yeah, how did he get access to Welby? Oh my god, I don't know. And gives longitude and latitude coordinates to where Alex is, and it's Toby's house that he built. I was so pissed that I didn't get this.
I was so waiting for you to get this. I was like, oh, you even were like, oh, I wonder who bought the house. You literally knew.
And then I completely forgot he had built a house.
You kept being like, is it here? Because I was like, you know where it is. And I was having you guess. And he's like, is it at the old dollhouse? Is it at Bradley? Is it? And I'm like, no, you don't think so hard. Relax.
So dumb.
Where was it?
So dumb.
But
because again, like you said, I literally called it out. I was like, oh yeah, someone bought the house. I wonder who that is.
Yep.
And then dummy over here forgot.
He was so smart that he forgot.
Fitz and Spencer, who I will now be referring to as Spitz, are out of their cells and running and find a ladder to escape. Alex walks down the hall with the axe and finds their cells empty and finds a door. They find a door. They get it unsealed and then find the house that Alex and Mary had left, and they realize they're inside a set underground. The friends arrive at Toby's. Caleb recognizes that it's all Spencer's furnishings and brand new. Arya finds a sealed bulkhead door. Arya opens it, and they all go in. Spitz run around the house, find it's all fake, and Fitz says the only way out is back the way they came. Alex runs up on them, and Spencer pushes him out of the way onto a rock and knocks him out.
Fitz has now had 2 concussions in less than 24 hours.
Oh, they really got to get him checked out. It's like 2 over here. Spencer pleads to her that she's her sister, and Alex repeats everything back to her, like mockingly. Spencer, which that's actually just true sister behavior. Spencer eventually tackles her, and the twins struggle over the axe. The friends round the corner, and Toby draws his gun. The twins appeal to Toby that they're the real Spencer. This is just classic setup. No, I'm the real Spencer. No, I'm the real Spencer. Toby comes up and grabs one and asks for her favorite poem from the book she gave him. Spencer quotes something in French. A cop runs in, and Mona says, I called 911. The cop grabs Alex, and on the way out, Alex says, no one can call you loser Mona anymore. Mona says, you don't know the half of it. Cut to the Ezra wedding. When the priest asks if anybody has a reason why they can't be married, a phone goes off, and we see it's Marlene King's phone. Ha ha ha, wink wink, nod nod. They pronounce them married.
Things like that annoy me.
Yeah.
Because they pull you out.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, look, they put her in here.
I think they could have done it in a more casual way, like they did with Sarah Shepard as like a teacher and stuff like that in the show. You know what I mean? Like there's a way to do it where it's a little less like...
You didn't need to have like this little joke. You could have just showed them getting married.
Oh, and like she could have literally been sitting in the audience if they really wanted to have her in a shot. That's like a...
Yeah, I just think
Stan Lee set a bad precedent. Just kidding. His were usually pretty funny though.
Yeah, God, rest in peace, man. Man had a...
And it was in a genre where that made more sense.
Totally. And I don't know when it first started, but I'm pretty sure toward the end of Stan Lee's life, he was being like puppeted around, like sort of thing, like elder abuse. So like I think some of those times too, they're just kind of like propping him up.
Poor thing.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Stan Lee had a rough end of life.
Oh.
Yeah. Marlene King has no such excuses.
Still young.
Exactly. The friends catch up after. Ezra are off to the honeymoon. Toby's working with Jason still and is now apparently with Spencer. Womp womp. Hannah is pregnant. Ezra are going to meet with an adoption agency when they get back from their honeymoon. They all cry and Allison says for some reason it feels like the end of something. They all hug. I wonder it's the end of. Cut from day to night. We're now in France. Or as Emily said, as you literally said, we're like, oh, cool. We're at the Paris Pavilion in Epcot.
It literally looks like the Paris Pavilion in Epcot.
It's really funny.
I'm like, oh, we're in France, but like Florida.
France, Florida.
Where's the Ratatouille ride again?
Exactly. Some French girl buys a doll and we see it's Mona wearing a beret, which I was very happy about. The officer who arrested Alex comes in and Mona kisses him. He asks if she's coming to dinner and she says, I won't be long. He leaves. She closes shop and heads downstairs to a dollhouse and a bunch of dolls and then in front of glass. And we see in a glass cell on the other side are Mary and Alex wearing tea dresses stuck inside a fake house. Mary says she can't keep us here forever. And Alex says, of course she can. She's Mona. The group of Addison's friends are all asleep in an enclosed patio. Hetty wakes up and asks where Will and Addison are. William comes around the corner and says, she's gone. I looked for her everywhere. And
okay, my one question for you from all of this. Why is Ezra the one that noticed that it wasn't Spencer first? Because the reason why I was trying to remember before I watched this why Ezra ends up in the cell, right? Because I was like, this makes no fucking sense, and I could not remember for the life of me. And then I was like watching it, and he says, "Oh, I realized that it was something wasn't right. Like you didn't know the things we talked about yesterday, and I asked a certain question, and you didn't answer. You know, like Ezra's the only fucking one who noticed.
Mm-hmm.
So is Ezra her only real friend? Because Toby didn't fucking notice.
Right.
But then Toby does notice at the end when she's there. It's like, oh. But so in Toby's defense, they were in a really awkward situation.
Mm-hmm.
They hadn't seen each other for years.
Yep.
And then, so like, of course, people are different.
Mm-hmm.
But Ezra...
And he's down bad.
Yeah.
Crying at the gym.
Yeah, exactly. Ezra notices.
Yeah. I mean... Good on him. He gets 2 concussions for his troubles, but,
These last couple extra episodes are really the only ones where I really like Ezra. When he's like, Arya, your friends shouldn't treat you that way.
Uh-huh. And also, Arya, what the hell? You known for like 3 weeks? Why couldn't you tell me? And you still, we've been hard. I feel justifiably harsh on Fitz. But in this case of like, why you're going to marry this person, you should probably tell them when something's up. And also, if you think that this would be something that would break your marriage, like maybe you shouldn't be getting married.
Yeah. You married me for me, not for my ovaries.
That's right. Yeah, we can figure this out. It's like, it's understandably a big deal for Arya.
It's infertility is I like that they addressed infertility. I wish they'd addressed infertility better.
Right.
Because
Instead
I
of
think
just like a random plot point in the end of in this like incredibly rushed episode.
Yeah, like it would have been interesting if we'd had like these episodes of Arya like grappling with this, or even if we'd watched her find out and not tell him for a while, like over the season. Or maybe if that had been what A was holding over her.
Yeah.
Like the test results, and she was afraid to tell Fitz.
This should have been earlier in the season and broken up. This entire, like everything in this episode almost. Like that should have been earlier. So exactly what you're talking about.
Because also he gets so mad at her about it too, which I understand being upset with her hiding and not trusting him and all of that. But the night before your wedding is not the night. And when someone tells you news that is obviously devastating to them, is not the time you make it about you.
Yeah.
If you love them and you're in a loving and caring and committed relationship, because like that's really harsh information. She might not have told him because she didn't want to believe it.
Right.
Like she was in denial. So she was waiting until she had confirmation, because she was like, no, it's not real yet. Yeah, like I'm going to wait until I know it's real and then I'll deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know a lot of people that practice avoidance. I could easily see someone doing that. Like it's like, oh, people do it with all sorts of diagnoses because you don't want it to be true. So it's like, well, let me tell them when I know it's safe. Mm-hmm. So like it'll be safe when I find out that it's not true or that it was a mistake.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. I agree with you there. I was a bit harsh then.
It's okay. I understand.
Yeah. But yeah.
I mean, once again, like I said, I make you make my doctor's appointments half the time. Like I'm not someone who wouldn't tell you, but I think
to have it be like this big, especially for just the structure of the show, this like big last.
He knows she's committed 2 murders. Well, she didn't commit the second one.
Right. But at least like had a body rolling around in the trunk. So, okay, did you have, you only had the one question, right?
Yeah, that was really, because everything else we kind of addressed throughout the episode.
Yeah, and I will say, I think the Mona resolution here really, I get, like, I'm fine with her being gray, because that's where Mona excels best, in the gray areas.
She's our morally gray love interest.
Fair enough. That she,
dark haired.
That's right. Don't know what side she's on. That she was like doing things and like doing subterfuge, like playing along with AD, I think works fine. But I think ending it with Mona, then capturing Alex and Mary to then like continue to do like mind games and have like this whole game thing again is exactly what you were mentioning earlier of like, no one grew. Like it's just the exact same thing, which is like where Mona has not been at. And then all of a sudden we had her like regress back over these past 3 episodes, I think really sucks. And then also all the interviews afterwards kept talking about like, I think the interviewers and then like Janelle Parrish and things like also, I think Marlene King might mention it too. Mm-hmm. Sorry, there was like a delay for some reason on the headphones. I'm going to take these off. I don't know what happened. Something changed. That's weird. Either way, my actual point that I was trying to get to is that they all talk about that like, oh, and Mona won the game finally. She's the winner of the game. And I'm like, she's still stuck in it. So I feel like that's not like
she is now like the game master or whatever. She's not. So there is no winning. So the other girls, the game is over. Yeah, they didn't win. They survived the game.
I think that's winning.
Mona, I think for Mona's character and like the way they've written her, she views winning as being the one in charge.
I feel like winning in the game's context is...
We've already had this debate.
Exactly. Is pulling yourself away from it. And so I think it's a really dark...
Because you would want that. Mona, like the way they've written this character, her idea of winning is that she's on top of the game. It's being on top. The game doesn't end for Mona. The game is never over.
And I think that's where that sucks. That's like getting to exactly what I was saying, where Mona hasn't grown.
I think the purpose of the show is to show us that nobody grows or changes. Like, I think that's one of their messages. That you are who you are.
And I think that really sucks.
Except for Allison.
Yeah. So I think that really sucks.
Yeah. No, I don't think it's good. Mm-hmm. I just was like, I get why they're saying that. Like, it fits with the thematic kind of like vibes of the whole season.
You are what you are.
You are what you are.
Yeah.
You're only as good as your last lie. But yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
No, I don't think it's good. I think it's a horrible ending to a show. And I think it's really frustrating because you watch these characters grow and develop only to watch them backslide in the last season and a half.
Yep. So it just leaves everybody off in a place that I don't like.
Well, I think that Toby's now working with Jason, and that's way better than being a cop.
No, absolutely. I agree with that. But like,
I was like, we have one change.
Don't see what like Spencer is like still like interested. I don't feel like that romantic relationship over the past like season stuff. That's all been like one-sided. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like this entire episode is just such a mess.
Do you want to take a quick pause and then go through our questions?
Yeah, I wanted to see if there's anything else on this that I wanted to touch on before we move on to like questions which are more about like the series. Yeah, probably not, but
if you think it's something, we can add it.
One thing I will say is like when we eventually get onto Lost, I feel like the way shows wrap up of like trying to like wrap up all these individual pieces and stuff is like almost a direct response to like the reaction of the Lost finale. That's my hypothesis, but yeah, maybe that'll be it for this episode. I guess we kind of talked about it.
All right. It's question time.
Yeah. So we put out oh God, I don't know what happened to these headphones. Taking them off. I hope the audio quality does not suffer. Anyways.
Does hearing it fix the audio quality at all?
It just makes sure that we can like.
So you can hear it. Like you can. Okay.
Make sure that our audio is coming through okay. I will have to figure out what the hell is going on later. But that's not important right now because we put out a call for questions and Sarah came in with a big question list. We love it.
She
really came through. Absolutely. Shout out, Sarah. Thank you so much. So I took all the questions. We got about 20 questions. I took the host prerogative and put superlatives at the end. And we'll everything else I think is in the same order. Oh, and I made a couple adjustments to questions as we'll get to a little later. You help me with those too. So
I don't remember.
Yeah. Number 1. Mona told the liars that Allie assembled the perfect group. Smart, Spencer. Loyal, Emily. Admiring, Hannah. And compassionate, Arya. Do you agree with those character assignments? So do you consider Spencer to be the smartest? Arya the most compassionate? Blah, blah, blah.
I think she would have been better off comparing them to Wizard of Oz characters.
Mm-hmm. And you, most of all.
Well, I think you've got Arya, who's like brave. Like it would have been better to do something like that, where she's more like the cowardly lion. Like she really learned how to like say things, except then she still took 3 weeks to say things. But she's been saying things. She's communicating a lot faster than she used to. She told Ezra about the police report too. You know what? Mm-hmm. Actually, Girly Pop grew.
She did.
She's the only one who might have grown.
Mm-hmm. In a certain sense, yeah.
But anyway, I don't necessarily think compassionate is like how I would describe Arya.
That's
like fiery, chaotic, especially a little.
The Mona thing that you brought up earlier and that you brought up before.
Yeah.
Like, I hope Mona deserves to die. And then talking to Mona.
She should have died when she went over that cliff. And then like when Mona's like, oh, I wish I died when I went over the cliff. She's like, don't ever say that.
Who do you think?
Okay.
Yeah. Who do you think is the most compassionate then?
Hannah. Before season 7.
Yeah. Hannah's actually the one that regresses the most in my book.
Emily, if not. Emily is compassionate to a fault, actually.
Mm-hmm. So I think, Emily is probably, I think actually, so barring the rules of having each one have to have an assignment, I would say Emily gets 2.
Emily's compassionate and loyal. Uh-huh. She's like a Hufflepuff if you want to go like Harry Potter world, which, you know, not really something we still do because
Emily's going to come out swinging on people to like, back you up. Spencer is absolutely the
well, she learned to come out swinging. For a long time, Emily was just very protective of the people she loved, but she wasn't necessarily aggressive about it unless it was Allie.
Yep.
Then she learned how to be more aggressive.
Yeah, when she started being more aggressive, I was like, Emily's so much better.
They gave her personality.
Yeah.
She's got her personality back.
She did.
Which is probably like the most realistic like character growth out of any of the characters in the show. Like to go from like, oh, you're kind of like meeker and like a little bit like I'm only protective of this one person to wait a minute, I'm so fucking done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I am so fucking done.
Once she came out, then it all was like, you know, I'm living as myself and now I come out swinging. I mean, with some setbacks, of course, but
yeah, I mean, it's not her fault she had to kill Lyndon James.
No, or she lost her girlfriend.
Mm-hmm. But then her and Allie are living in the house where Maya... Anyway, okay.
And then Maya's niece is now going to Rosewood.
Uh-huh.
It's interesting.
It's interesting.
But I think Spencer's the smartest.
Uh-huh. Oh, hands down.
Admiring's the weirdest one. I don't think Hannah's the most admiring.
No, Emily admires.
Yeah.
It's all about Emily, honestly.
It really is.
Because Allie admired Arya.
Mm-hmm.
Because she was always like that. Even the flashback scene we get when they catch Byron in the car with Meredith, I think it's always Allie thinking Arya was cool. Like, yeah. Arya was unique. Arya didn't care. Arya was different. She wasn't like other girls. She was her manic pixie dream girl, kind of. And she was kind of like the muse for Allison in terms of like being edgy or like what's out there in the show. In the book,
it was the only way. Yeah, it's the only one that she could like
Pigtunia,
really, like,
and I have some questions.
Mm-hmm. Pigtunia appeared in the show.
She did appear in the show.
But she was the only one that could really like push Allison.
Yeah, and she would push Allison.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Spencer would push Allison, but it was more in relation to Spencer wanting to be on top than doing it to like protect her friends.
No.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it was very selfish.
Mm-hmm. When it was all competitive.
Yeah.
Whereas like Arya was doing it because it was what she felt like was right.
And Allison could rattle Spencer.
So I think maybe early Arya, like when Allie picked her, maybe part of it was that Arya was more compassionate because she was the one who was like more protective over Hannah and like more like she'd say something. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just that she cared about people, it was that she actually fucking did something.
Yeah. And I guess in the context of those listings too, it's all from Allison's perspective. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't necessarily map one-to-one because that's what Allison saw in all of them, even if it wasn't accurate.
What we saw.
Yeah, because also these are her friends from freshman year of high school.
Also, we meet them after she's already gone and they've been out on their own for a year. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And like, then Allison isn't back in their lives until 2 years after that.
Mm-hmm.
1 year? 2 years.
I think it's 2 years.
The next one. Would you consider Mona a liar? Like as a liar,
like one
capital,
of the liars?
Yeah, exactly. Liar, capital L.
It depends on what season.
Yeah.
I think the Dollhouse season, yes.
I would actually say no, because I think to be one of the liars, you have to be a direct target of A, the way the rest of them are, where Mona is locked in the dollhouse like circumstantially, because Mona takes it on herself to go after A and then gets put in there. So it's not like Charlotte actually went after Mona at all. Like in a more active sense, the way that Charlotte did for the rest of the girls. And so
you think being a liar is being a victim of A, specifically at that time?
A main target of A.
I think of it more like as a like. So you would put Allison as a liar?
Yes, because that's the next question.
I wouldn't. I would put Mona before Allison most of the time.
Oh, interesting.
And I think because I literally think about it as like, who's telling lies to get ahead? I mean, I guess Allison was too, but she didn't have as much screen time. Allison was the liar, but then the liars.
Allison.
In my head, it's more of like
such a monster.
It's the moving pieces of the puzzle, and so for so much of that, Allison wasn't really part of the puzzle because she was dead.
Right.
Whereas Mona was A, so she was actively involved.
Mm-hmm.
And then once she comes back and someone takes the game from her, I think for Mona, that immediately makes her one of the liars because she's just as desperate to figure out who A is as the girls, because it was her thing and now someone else has it.
Yeah. I think the part of like, it's that she's never actually like fully included. She's always on the out looking in. And I think that's why I would say she's not.
I would feel the same way about Allie. I don't think Allie's ever fully included.
I think in the last bit with Alex's game.
Yeah.
She is.
Okay, but that doesn't count. We don't. We just.
we ignore.
The show ended after the dollhouse.
Yeah. It's so telling that in the different post interviews, there was the one that there was two different ones where Marlene King was talking about the finale. There was the post-mortem that was before the finale.
Yeah, exactly.
That where she's like, we had planned this. We knew what was going to happen. We knew the first day and the last day, but in the middle, we didn't know. And then after the finale aired and they're doing like a recap on the finale of like what happened, they're talking to her. And she's like, yeah, we knew what was going to happen through season 5. And then we got renewed for 2 more seasons. So we had to plan things. So seems suspicious.
Yeah, either the quotes were misconstrued or Marlene was not telling the same narrative.
Right. Yeah, I guess.
Which, I mean, Pretty Little Liars.
Yeah.
She wanted to be part of the party.
I know. Hey, you know, the person that comes up with all these threads, same thing. She's keeping us guessing. But I guess you could also maybe charitably read that as she thought Cece was the last A, but that's not what they say. Because it's before the finale aired, so you're thinking it's the one that's going to come up anyway. So, I digress. Okay.
But I really, if you say who are the liars, I say the core 4. I don't think of anyone else. But if I'm gonna start putting other people in that box, I would start with Mona.
Mona first. Interesting. Yeah, I would start with Allison at a certain point where it's like I feel like. Well,
Allison was the one being bullied by Mona, so like.
Yeah, if you
by the original true. A.
Yeah, and I think if you
Mona literally drove her out of town.
What a win! What a win! I think if you
You're such a mess, and I love you. He's messy.
Hell yeah, get her out of here. I bet Mona's like, you know, driving back into town, like punching the air, like that's right, like with the poetic nature of that. I don't remember what I was gonna say. That's
Sorry, right. I distracted you.
No, it's all good. Okay, start from the top. One reason people thought Arya was A was because she had, you know, less severe. People thought that there was less severe threats and action against her. Do we actually think that Arya had it the lightest? Like,
the least?
Exactly. Yeah.
No, what I think happened to Arya specifically is that there was such good dirt around the people around her that Arya's entire torture was more psychological. I mean, she was put in a box with a dead body.
That's what I was going to say.
She was put in a box with a dead body. She was still taken to the dollhouse. And she was the one that it seems like her and Spencer, I think, talk about like picking each other. You know what I mean? Like she's the one that people thought they tortured more because they thought she was tougher. I think Arya's torture in the show is so non-physical for the most part, and I think that's why people read it that way, because when you watch someone else go through a non-physical form of torment, you think that it's not as severe. Not you as in you, but like it's easier to look at it and be like, well, it's just what people are saying. But like to literally be from the beginning, granted she was in a relationship she shouldn't have been in, but she was a child. That's not her fault.
Exactly. The blame is on Fitz, as we've made clear.
From the beginning with her dad, like the idea that she's holding the secret for her father, and like the having to be the bomb that tears your own family apart.
Yeah.
That to me is so, at that age, so psychologically scarring. Also to make her torture her friends.
Yeah.
Way worse. In my opinion, like whatever Spencer was asked to do as A wasn't destroy a nursery and leave a recording that's going to destroy your friend's family's life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's just Arya's given such shit situations, or like, if you don't do what I say, I'm going to get your fiance arrested.
Yeah.
Like that's, and granted, once again, the legalities of Ezra notwithstanding, like that's horrific.
Yeah.
Like, what would you not do to protect the people you love? And like, how much would you hurt the people you love to protect the people you love? And who are you willing to hurt and not? And like the fact that she constantly has to grapple with that is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree that I don't think that it's ever really matched up that like, oh, Arya's A because she doesn't have it as bad. And I'm like, you're just not. I
mean, granted, I guess the stuff with her dad was Mona A, not Cece or Alex A.
Right. It's during the Cece era where she gets put in the box. And I think that's the other thing to untangle from this is like, as we look back on things, it's like, okay, which things were actually A and which were someone else, which is incredibly hard to untangle. But I don't
She killed Shauna.
Yeah. So I don't think there's much in my book that would be ever to point specifically to her based on that. Yeah, because I think compared to other liars, like Emily absolutely does have, like I mentioned early on, and it doesn't really, it kind of cools off a little bit, but like she has a lot of physical actions taken against her to like a really gross degree. So I can understand why people would be like, oh my God, like Emily has it worse. Spencer is just so central to everything that it might make it seem like the worst things are happening to Spencer, when it's like the worst things have already happened and now we're just uncovering truths.
And a lot of Spencer's things also, like her opioid addiction and things like that it was a trauma response from A. We can assume her relapse is because of stress, and we know because we know what she's obsessing over.
Right.
But it's not necessarily like A's doing in that particular instance.
Yeah.
It's not something that's done to her.
Some action taken, yeah.
Not saying there aren't also, I mean, obviously, Alex definitely really takes the cake on torturing her. The last season or so, really, like, post Dollhouse is when they really come for Spencer.
But it's all, like, I think, most of it is revelations. Because it's, like, her family, it's all about the Hastings family. She becomes central, of course, but I feel like a lot of the, like, actions taken against her, it's more like Toby suffers.
Honestly, the biggest victim on the last season might be Toby.
You're forgetting the other Hastings love interest.
Well, I mean,
turned into a diamond.
Yeah, but like he's a diamond now.
Fair enough.
Wren's got a new life. You would hardly recognize him.
he's gonna be around. And then Allison is just constant. I guess she is on the run all the time. So
but then what happens to Allison is particularly horrific.
Yes. Oh God, it's horrible. But that's also not A. That's when you start getting into like
it was
Dunhill. But it wasn't.
She did it with Dunhill because she had to get Wren's sperm to fertilize the egg.
Oh shit! Right. So that was Alex. Yeah.
Or Cece, but I mean, no, Cece's already dead.
Cece's dead. But then Cece had also manipulated her. Yeah, that's horrible.
Hannah's torture is weird. She gets some physical, but it's mostly like, honestly, Hannah kind of gets it. It's like, we're just gonna like devastate her career, and then we're gonna go right back to like ignoring her, and then we're gonna like,
well, we'll scare her mom and their precarious living situation, which makes sense. Then her boyfriend, but I don't really know what else.
But Mona, I feel like tortures Hannah more than the other A's.
The other A's, yeah.
No, the tooth.
Right, that's what I was cracking up about.
Tooth. And when she goes for the interview and all the mannequins followed her, but isn't that Toby?
Oh, it might, yeah.
It's when Toby's on the A team.
Yeah. And
so
she gets attacked by shoes.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, though. It's all pretty
hard.
goofy.
Yeah. It's hard to pick who has it like better or worse. You know what I mean? Because it's also like, and it's only humorous because of the nature of the show. Obviously, comparing real traumas is not the same thing. But because it's
this is what the show's about. It's like comparing deaths in a horror movie or something, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, like it is. We take the things that happened to Allison because it absolutely is horrific and horrible.
There's no other way to read that.
Yeah, but
it's not. Wren becoming a diamond is a lot funnier than like implanting a child in someone unwillingly.
Yeah, nightmare.
Bodily autonomy.
Okay. Oh yeah. So I think we already kind of covered this next one. This is kind of like pulling in Mona and Allison too. So I think we'll move on. Okay. All right. So which animal would you want to have as a pet? Shadow, Jenna's dog, Tippy the bird, Pepe, Allison's dog, the snake that was left in the dressing room of Spencer, the raccoon that hissed at Arya.
Okay. For those of you that don't know, I have a father. His name is Jim. And that man loves Rocket Raccoon.
He loves Rocket.
More than any adult child or anyone I've ever met, honestly. I don't know why I was saying adult. I was like, I don't know any children that love Rocket as much as Jim loves Rocket. So part of me feels like
Rocket
I have
has
to say,
one fan.
If Rocket has no fans, I've lost my father. So part of me wants to say that the raccoon that attacked Arya, but isn't it in the lab being tested on?
Oh God, right.
So I would want to get it to rescue it.
That's true.
I would want to save
I
it.
had forgotten the context around the raccoon.
The raccoon's
that's
being
fair.
tortured.
That's fair.
Everyone else allegedly has a home. What happened to Allison's dog?
What happened to Pepe?
I don't know. Pepe had one episode.
So Shadow is taken care of, so that's fine. Like, and Shadow is a
Seeing eye dog.
exactly. So they're working, you know.
Yeah, except with who we don't know because Jenna has never had them since.
Right. I don't like snakes. Tippy, I also don't like birds, but Tippy is an icon, and I do understand that, but I just don't want to bring Tippy home. So Pepe, but Herman doesn't really like other dogs, so I don't know how Herman's gonna feel about the raccoon.
He's gonna hate the raccoon.
So might have to take my chances with Pepe.
Okay. He's not gonna like Pepe either.
Yeah, no, but like, what's gonna be easier to control?
I would assume the raccoon would have its own like enclosure. Like we'd have it in like a little cage or something.
Yeah. Okay. It would be inside our enclosure.
I'm actually like gonna like rehabilitate it. I'm gonna help it, and then it's gonna be re-released to the wild, which is just the local dumpsters. I feel like at this point, in the way our society's run.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I knew a lot of raccoons when I went to school in Santa Barbara.
Yeah,
It makes
there's a
it
lot
sound
of them.
like I was friends with them.
Jeremiah, hello.
Well, so my sorority house had a courtyard that all of our
Nancy, you
rooms
lush.
opened up to, and so there'd be raccoons and baby raccoons playing in the courtyard, and sometimes we'd have skunks also playing in the fountain in the courtyard.
They'd be doing backstrokes.
It was you watched out for the skunks. But yeah, we had all sorts of creatures.
Mm-hmm. It's really funny.
Yeah.
You got to know him.
Yeah.
You became comfortable with the raccoon.
Yeah, I did. I do not feel threatened by the presence of a raccoon.
Yeah.
Am I going to touch or pet the raccoon? No. Do we touch wild animals?
Everybody,
No.
look at us.
So it was really once again for Jim.
Okay. Oh, so this one is where we also built this out. So I'm going to actually skip one question. We're going to come back to this after these ones. Bring one character back to life.
Okay.
Positive. Maya St. Germain, Marion Kavanaugh. So then I also took the host prerogative on this and added a few.
Okay.
Wayne Fields, Wren, Yvonne, and then as we put together on this, special guest character, Miranda. From all the way back in Ravenswood.
So who would I bring back to life? Okay.
Maya, Marion, Wayne, Wren.
It's
Yvonne,
really hard.
And if you felt like bringing back Ghost Miranda.
It's really hard because, okay, I do actually want to bring back Ghost Miranda, but she's more relevant to Ravenswood, so we'll put her over there. I want to know what happened with Wren. Like, I want Wren's side of the story.
Oh, so
I
this
really,
is informational.
yeah, like, you know, it's like when that question that's like, if you could have dinner with 3 people dead or alive, who would you pick? Like, I'm like Wren because I have some questions.
What the hell happened, man?
Yeah. But I don't really want Wren alive, so I'm gonna pick Maya.
You like Spencer? Yes. Yeah.
100%. Also, because she was like interesting and fun and different, and she told Emily it was okay to be yourself, and I think that's important.
That's right. She was cut down unnecessarily for no reason by a random person in season 2. Like, oof. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I would also choose Maya, but I do have to shout out
Wayne.
Okay, we'll shout out Wayne. Well, I mean, let's all shout out Wayne right now, you know.
Really early in the show, my favorite thing ever, I think I mentioned this on the episode when he died, you were like, oh, Wayne's gonna die. And I was like, not for a long time, baby.
Well, because he has like a heart condition. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, this man's dead. Going back to anime, he's got anime's disease. He's gonna die. But Yvonne, really, because boy, you didn't well, your politics were a little rough.
Well, we assume she worked for her mom, so.
She did. But I don't know if you deserved what you got.
No. To be taken out by a deer?
Yeah. And then you married Toby, who died, and he doesn't really love you. That's rough.
Well, I think he loved her. He just loved Spencer more.
Like, yeah, not great.
Yeah.
All right. So then the next one, bring one character back to life, sad face. Darren Wilden, Lyndon James. So then I also took the host prerogative here, and you also helped out with this. Archer Dunhill, Garrett, Shauna, Noel Kahn, Ian, Jessica De Laurentiis, Bethany Young, Charlotte.
I'm bringing back my favorite male menace, Noel Kahn. 100%.
He's a mess.
He
He's such a shitty rich kid.
and like he was supposed to be Arya's love interest, and imagine that storyline.
Yeah. Oh, where Arya's like enmeshed with him, but he's just like evil and the biggest dickhead on.
Or what if
here.
he's like also just like, what if he was only involved to protect Arya?
Yeah.
What if we had this like, we think he's a bad guy, but he's really not, and it's like actually age appropriate and fun.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Who are you bringing back?
I would bring back Shauna. She got chumped out.
Yeah,
And she's sitting in the afterlife going like, I got chumped out. Like, I shouldn't have died from that fall.
no. Okay, honestly, Shauna shouldn't have died. I think that's not there.
No.
She fell like 2 feet.
She had more menacing to do. And I think she had untapped potential. Put her back in. We would, just to run through this, never bring back a cop. Darren Wilden, bottom of this list.
Yeah,
And then slightly followed by...
her dog is
Oh, here
coming in.
comes Hermes. Do you need to go out, buddy? Probably needs to go out, huh? I think that's a yes.
The tail.
All right, we'll be back with more questions in a sec. All right, we're back with our next question. Do you think you could draw out the Drake, De Laurentiis, Hastings family tree?
I want Brenton to do this in real time.
I think I can.
Okay.
So, on the... What is... Okay, so Drake would be Mary and Jessica's maiden name, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, Mary, Jessica married to Kenneth,
Mm-hmm.
De Laurentiis. And then on the other side, you have Peter and Veronica. So, Peter and Jessica have...
Gonna have to put Peter in between Mary and Jessica.
Yeah. So then Veronica and Peter... Is Melissa born first?
Before Jason?
Yeah.
I don't know.
They're in the same grade, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's so wild.
Is it though? There's a lot of men that have children that are close to the
I
same
d-
age with different mothers.
I guess so.
I'm gonna draw it as you say it.
Okay. Thank you for doing that for me.
Oh, that doesn't work. I'm gonna make you draw it, actually.
Oh, God. Okay.
I was like, wait a minute, why am I doing the work?
Okay. So.
Gotta do his homework first, everybody. You're just gonna have to draw arrows to Peter.
Okay. So then there is Veronica and Peter have Melissa.
Mm-hmm.
And then Peter and Jessica have Jason.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think how to visualize this.
Kind of like draw an arrow from both parents to the one kid is kind of, or like lines, yeah.
Yeah. So then Jessica and Kenneth have Allison.
Mm-hmm.
And then Peter and Mary have Spencer.
And Alex.
Oh, God, right.
Did you go?
Such a mess.
Did you go over the tree instead of under?
Yeah, because I couldn't get underneath. I was like, oh, I don't know how to do that. And then
Draw around and over.
never forget Ted and Mary have Charlotte.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think that's it, right? Let me think. There's no
No.
other kids.
Allison has the daughters. I guess they're Emily's technically. You don't have to put them on there.
Right. And then, yeah, Allison and Emily have Allison and Wren. God, this is such a mess. Lily and Grace. There you go.
Mm-hmm. That seems very logical and healthy.
Such chicken scratch. It's the best I could do. Oh God.
Uh-huh.
Peter is just the worst human being on planet Earth.
Peter has 2 kids, but is the father of 4 children. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. That totally makes sense.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay. Vibes.
That's it. Oh, it cracks me up. All right. Move on. In a recent podcast interview on Therapist with Jake Shane, as Emily mentioned last episode, there's some more details on it. Lucy Hale was on and said that after the show, Arya is, this is different bullets. First bullet, Arya is probably knitting, is very codependent with Ezra. She's become a recluse. Ezra is living a big life and Arya is enmeshed with his life.
Mm-hmm.
Hannah is doing drugs. Agreed with Jake when he said he thinks Spencer is a professor. Emily is a world traveler, is the healthiest of the 4. And then finally, do we agree with all this?
Absolutely not. Okay, Arya.
And then what do we think they're up to?
I think Arya's is probably pretty accurate. I think unless Girly really went to therapy and made some strides, or like her writing became very self-reflective and she went, wait a minute. If I read a story like this, I would think these people are fucking nuts. They missed an opportunity to make the ending of the show, because the show opens with Arya, to make the ending her writing that story.
Yeah.
Because that's what Ezra was doing, and that would have been interesting because it opens with Arya. The show begins with Arya. So the ending could have been Arya like turning her trauma into money.
Right. Yeah, anyway. Because it's just like Fitz's book. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like his name on the cover. Mm-hmm. So then Arya's probably just at home, right, doing exactly, like took care of the kids.
Yeah.
Or whatever their family situation ended up being.
Mm-hmm. I think Hannah and Caleb, like Hannah's got her fashion brand and Caleb's hacking the government for the government, whatever, depending on the job. I think they're, fighting, but they're them. Like, they're fine. Yeah.
It's funny, the Hannah doing drugs. It's like maybe she had like a drug phase, but I don't think Hannah's like currently.
I think because she handled nothing well in the last season and she never addressed her trauma. Like, I could see, you know what I mean?
But it seemed like Hannah was in like a place where she's just like kind of rolling with things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess she would have to hit a really hard time. But I could also see Hayla being extremely toxic.
I mean, I'm sure her answers were said for laughs. You know what I mean, too. So, like, I don't think she thought that much about anyone's character. Like, no, it's just like, I bet that character's like out there just being wild,
doing drugs. Yeah.
Yeah. Spencer being a professor works. Spencer, I feel like she'd more likely be in politics. So.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Or
which
the darkest timeline, she just became a lawyer like her parents.
I don't think she would. I think because she was compared to her sister so much, the idea of then moving into the industry that's like the family industry would be very not her.
Uh-huh. That's fair enough.
I mean, maybe not. I don't know. I think Emily... Well, so I know things about Emily because we know with the Perfectionist kind of like what's going on with her.
Right. Oh, and
or the lack thereof.
I will also say I've known that Allison and Mona are in the Perfectionist for a very long time. Mm-hmm. Just by looking at the summary for the Perfectionist of like trying to plan out the shows.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, you spoiled that one for yourself too. Uh-huh. I didn't spoil anything.
No.
I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you didn't. I don't think you did. Not a single thing.
That's so good for me.
It's all self-inflicted.
Wow, you got to stop doing that.
Yeah, we put up barriers.
We put Brenton's safe search on. It's not what you think.
It filters out spoilers.
Just Pretty Little Liars.
For future shows, I just try and Google things and it just gives me a blank page.
Yeah, he's not allowed to Google television shows. Actually, IMDb is blocked, and That's so right. is the fandom website.
So yeah, I guess Emily's is a little...
I feel like Emily'd be the swim coach at Rosewood High.
Yeah. After the end of this show, she would absolutely be doing that. Mm-hmm. I think her path was like set.
Mm-hmm. I honestly think Arya might be living a bigger life than that. Like I could see she's very involved in, I mean, they did some obviously not great things with her character and stuff like that. But I think Arya is more actively involved in her own life than the credit is being given in that statement. But I think it's once again, it's said, I think for like, it's a take. It's like a very good take of the direction they took that character, and the idea that they let this girl become this kind of like shadow of herself, because she was the most self-assured and the most confident and the most like, I don't care what other people think, to then be in that scenario.
Yep. And just such a dark take on your former character.
I mean, but I was telling Brenton when I read him the original quote, that to me, I could easily see that when you get that role at a more impressionable, younger, early 20s age, and you're taking on the role of this like romantic love story, and it's almost Romeo and Juliet-esque, because it's like tragic because they can't be together, but they love each other and love will prevail. And you're fed that narrative. When I first watched the show, I was like, oh, it's it's fiction, it's fine, and also like it's cute because like they love each other and like love always wins. And then you get older and you look back at that and you're like, that is so fucked up. And that's, I think, why we harp on it so much on the podcast, because like it's so easy to miss when you're 19 and it's so obvious when you're 30.
Yeah. And I think there's too many stories that we hear now of like this exact thing, or not even teachers, right? I mean, there's definitely stories around that.
Taylor Swift and John Mayer.
Right.
19 and 32 or whatever he was.
So I pay attention to gaming news, and like in the news this week, there was a streamer that had been had a contract from Twitch and was banned from Twitch 4 years ago. No one knew why. And like the reason came out now is because he was like sending like, he was messaging like things, erotic messages essentially with the minor. So it's like, God. Like it's a similar like abuse of power in that sense, right? Mm-hmm. Because the minor, we have no idea who the minor is, and it doesn't matter. It's more that the minor does not have the agency and things to understand what they're fully capable of, or what they're engaging in.
They can't consent.
Exactly.
It's like how drunk consent is not consent.
Yeah.
There's sorry. No, I was just going to say there's certain parameters in our reality of where it doesn't matter what the person says, it's still not consent. Mm-hmm. They cannot consent. Yeah, they are too young to consent, or they are not physically capable of consenting. Or there's lots, Yeah,
not fully able to understand what it is. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and I think also maybe just there's like, I think getting to what you're saying before of like where Arya started out and where Arya ended up, it's like a lot of left on the table of like what they could have done with the character.
Yeah. So she's got a lot of fire, but she also was like really like put out. Yeah.
Their plot lines all revolved around that. Mm-hmm. So I think I see where Lucy Hale is coming from, even if it's like kind of jokingly.
Yeah. Well, and I would be mad, I think, if I had this character that I started and she was this like empowered young woman, and like even if she did date her teacher or whatever, because when you read the books, Ezra goes to jail. Like he gets arrested early. Uh-huh. And so you're like, okay, it is what it is. And they didn't do that. And I think part of it was because like, I think their chemistry and like, it played really well. But I also,
they did it too uncritically is what our entire.
But when you look back at it as an adult, you're like, even though obviously that was great acting and we had a great time, like that's such an inappropriate way to like let this person come of age.
Yeah.
Like her coming of age story is her literally being groomed. Mm-hmm. And she ends it by marrying him.
Yeah.
And what does that tell young viewers? And what does that tell young women? It's just, there's a lot to it that I would feel like very unsettled if I had portrayed that character. Not that it's her fault, you know what I mean? But like, I understand why she would be like, yeah, she's living a horrible life, because like you can't imagine a reality where those writers gave that girl something better because she was not given the opportunity to make better choices.
Yeah. And
by the writers,
Yeah. And who knows what like she has seen and things regarding like fandom conversation around it too. Mm-hmm. Right.
Or the things that it excuses in our society.
Totally. Yeah. I just meant like from like a reaction of like from other people.
Yeah.
But I guess just to kind of end on this topic is the Ian Harding quote that you've mentioned before, and that is in the oral history that was done that we mentioned that was like a few months before the finale, where Ian Harding is like, I heard there were like advertisers pulling out because of a relationship.
Very early in the show.
Yeah, because of a relationship on the show. And I was like, yeah, no shit. Like she's sleeping with her teacher. And then Marlene was like, no. Actually, it's about Emily. And he's like, so I guess like you can have a girl sleep with her teacher as long as it's a penis and vagina, or you can have a relationship on a show as long as it's a penis and a vagina.
Yeah, he was very much like, yeah, it's me, I'm the problem. They were like, no,
self-awareness there, right?
It's actually our backward society.
Yeah,
it's very harrowing.
Yeah.
And that he was aware of that going into the character. So like he didn't expect it to be portrayed as this like romantic appropriate thing either. And I mean, you know, you're not going to be like, oh, I don't deserve this job. But it's like,
now this is weird. All right. Who do you think should have been A?
Okay. So coming into the finale, the first time I watched it, I wanted it to be Wren. He'd been around since season 1. He'd had access to Mona and access to Cece. He could have set them up.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of ways that he could have been really enmeshed in that without needing Alex. You did not need Alex Drake to do the same storyline. Yeah. And he was a doctor. He had money. He was able to be everywhere somehow.
It all lines up, doesn't it?
He had all the skills to do it. And I was like, it would be really interesting for the show to end with a man being the problem instead of a woman. Because while I think they were trying to address teen bullying and kind of girl on girl hate crimes, they didn't do it very well. So it just comes off as like women are really smart, which is true, but then manipulative and evil, which is sometimes true.
And then,
but men are also manipulative and evil. And some, I mean, look at Peter. Like you have a lot of
you're Wilden.
Yeah. I thought it would have been interesting. I don't necessarily always feel like, oh, we need to give men bigger parts in stories that are for women and about women. But I thought Wren being the villain made the most sense. Absolutely. When I looked at the evidence, what did I want? I always wanted Arya to be A.
Okay, so
I was an Arya's A, not truther. I did not for a second believe one of the liars would be A. There was no chance to me that any of them were A, except for I was like, it would be interesting if it was Arya or Spencer. I thought that would have been, and because we had that scene with Spencer and Wren, and you don't know it's Alex yet. So the first time I watched it, I was like, what the fuck is she up to? And then I was like, she just met Wren at the airport, and I was like, well, maybe it's Wren who's A, and maybe Spencer's putting it together. That's what I was like hoping then. I was like, oh,
yeah, that would have been good.
She's puzzled the pieces.
Yeah.
It obviously took such a worse turn.
I'm sorry. Your turn of phrase, I love it. It's my favorite.
What?
Instead of like put together the pieces of the puzzle, it's like she's puzzled the pieces.
She puzzled the pieces. Is that what I said?
Yes. I think that is so good. I love it so much.
Thank you. She puzzled the pieces.
That's right.
That's me. But I think that would have been a really fun turn. Arya being A, also very fun. There are lots of theories about like, did she have like a split personality? Was it from being abused? Like, was she doing it for? But you knew very early she wasn't, because she was talking to someone else. So you're like, it's not her.
Yeah, and when she did talk to other things like the body and stuff, that was very specific times.
Yeah, well. Who among us hasn't talked to a body in our trunk?
That's right.
But I thought it would have been interesting, but I wouldn't want it to be a split personality or anything like that, just from the way the show has handled mental health in general.
Yeah.
And the game and the allure of the game. I was like, oh God, we can't have anyone with any other. We had like a 50-50 shot on how well we handled addiction, and it really depended on the episode. So like, we can't have that.
No.
I also like always.
My biggest annoyance with like Mona stuff.
I kind of, in the like Cece era, I kind of wanted it to be Michelangelo.
Oh, wow, Michelangelo.
I've always liked the idea of like Arya's family, because it just seems like it was really centered on them at the beginning, like, and this like family that looks more average and normal than the rest because they are of an average income instead of like exceedingly wealthy. And how that makes them othered in their society, even though like Mike plays lacrosse, but he's not like Noel Khan rich, but he loves Noel Khan. You think Noel Khan is interesting. So like, is it like a Noel Khan bringing him into that world and Mike being like, I've been convinced by Noel that my sister is evil, and so I'm going to be pulling the strings. Like, I just think there's lots of really, or did he learn from Mona? And like, there's lots of really, was that why they were together? Like, you could have really played with that. Ezra being A has always been a favorite of mine too, because it really explains why he is so problematic. Like, if he ended the show being A, you'd be like, well...
Or when they actually revealed him to.
Yeah, if they had really extended that and really played with that, I think that would have been really interesting. And you could have a theory of like, oh, well, he was actually doing it to protect Arya. Like, there was lots of ways you could have played with that and still like redeemed him as a quote unquote good character. But him knowing who she was from the very beginning is the only thing I think about when I look at him. Which is so sad, because like prior to that, you know, especially even when I was younger, like that's what set me to like, oh, Ezra is a bad person. So then for the show to end with Arya ending up with Ezra is just so disgusting. These girls don't deserve good things, I guess, because they committed a murder. I don't know. Doesn't seem fair. But those are my tops, I guess. What are yours?
Okay, so when you said Wren, I'm like, oh, that's perfect, because he's connected to everything.
He even tried to get with Hannah.
And he's, you see where he got his stuff is being moved out by Shauna. Like, he has all these touch points.
Eddie Lamb knew who Arya was. Was Eddie Lamb somehow involved, you know?
So that is actually really good. But again, to the show's point, it's like, men are evil, but they're not conniving in the same way that women are. And it's super gender essentialist about that stuff. And it's like, okay, so that's why I'd never pick a man. So it'd be like different if they did. And
I think it would have been a little more accurate if they had, because as a woman, I'm more afraid of men than a manipulative woman. Like, I'm significantly more afraid of what a man will do to me than a quote unquote manipulative woman would do. Like, there's just, the physical danger is so much stronger. Society is so much less safer for women because of the existence of men. So the idea of the villain being a man is not like out of the realm of possibility to me. If we're creating like what's truly scary about existing as a young woman.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because terrifying. It's terrifying out there.
Yeah. But yeah, where it starts from of the like cyberbullying and stuff, but it like got way beyond that.
Yeah, but men cyberbully women all the time. Revenge porn.
Right. But the scope isn't there. It's like they're bullying each other. But then it spirals out way farther past that. So yeah. And again, this has a very specific view of genders and what that means for you. You are automatically prescribed a certain way. But I think having one of the liars actually, I mean, it wouldn't work out logistically. Like, of actually making a show and then making one of the like liars a consistently, like that's really hard to do, to be able to like
to pull it off successfully.
Take one of your take one of your main characters and then like I haven't switch them. It's like, what do you do with that character going forward? Do you just lose a character? Because then are you losing an actor? But I think it would have been really interesting to have something big happen to one of the main four. So then there is that like reaction from there. I mean, it could have ended up really horribly, but I like the gamble. And I think that's like potentially interesting ways of like spinning off the story from there.
I always wondered if in season 7 when I was watching it, if Hannah would die. I don't know why. I just felt like if one of them was going to die, it'd be Hannah in season 7.
When she was going like out on her own.
Just in general, like I think because like they got her back with Caleb and she marries. Like, I don't know. I was just like, I feel like if they were going to kill, because for a while it was like a rumor, like who are they going to kill off one of the liars? You know, like there was lots of fan theories out there.
Which is like fair enough heading into the last season, right?
Yeah, because that's where you're going to do it. And I was like, I think like if they killed off one, it'd have to be Hannah. Like you can't really kill off Arya. You can't really kill off Spencer, especially not now knowing the end. Spencer
had to be enmeshed there, unless you found out that Spencer had died
and Alex had been
season. Yeah. I don't think I had anybody else that would float to the top there. So I think your list was really good.
Thank you. I think about this a lot. I've spent years thinking about this.
Okay, which A do we think was most justified? So none of them. But if we're gonna pick one,
you're gonna say Mona.
Probably because it's the least
egregious.
It's the least extreme, maybe. I mean, Mona and Alex are in lockstep for like similar reasons, But
Mona's 15 when she does it.
and
Or
she's
16 or
also
whatever.
not turning Wren into a diamond, and then
No.
also impregnating Allison.
Yeah, Mona just isn't evil as the others.
Mm-hmm. And while I think like Charlotte has a really tragic backstory, Charlotte also constructs an entire dollhouse and kidnaps them. Like,
And continues to like fake her recovery, and like they set Charlotte up to just be like, they're like, you feel bad for her, no you don't, you feel bad for her, no you don't, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, just pick a lane.
a super villain.
Yeah.
Like truly. And then when she's just horrible at the end, it's like, oh, okay. So absolutely the worst of them.
Mm-hmm.
Alex does some heinous shit. No, not gonna lie, but it can't match up to Charlotte. Charlotte had
I mean, the impregnating Allison thing
is really bad. Yes. Keeping them in a dollhouse for weeks on end and doing torture to them is...
I don't want to pick a lane. You know what I mean? Those are both awful.
That's fair. That's fair. But Mona is the least egregious of them all.
All Charlotte did was put a GPS tracker in them.
What?
You know, like in terms of like invading their bodily safety in that way.
She also put Mona in a well.
Yeah.
Without food for days, and Mona was
That's
captured
true.
for months.
That's true.
Again, yeah, we don't need to compare.
That's true. You know.
Yeah.
It ain't a good time.
No. Actually, so following up on this, a question specifically for me: what is it about Mona that you love so much?
Thank you.
Thank
you, Sarah.
I have a hard time not holding her actions as against her. Is she just a good villain? Do you sympathize with her? No. Is it because she redeemed herself? No. So I don't think like my love of Mona is not that she has all of a sudden becomes a good person throughout the show. Like she does some bad shit. I like her morally grayness. Like I think she sits at a really good intersection after she's out of Radley. I think that's where I'm really bought in on Mona. I think I liked Mona beforehand when she's at the beginning and she is this annoying, like peppy, but like mean girl. I think that's fun. That's a fun thing where she's like the leader of the school, very fastidious about how she looks and things, and also is like the queen bee of like running school social things. So she still like has to be in charge and things in that way. I think that's fun, but I hate her reasons for A. I really don't find that annoying. But then when she comes back out of Radley and she's no longer like, you know, whatever thing they would prescribe her as there, when she comes back and is like part of the town again and is in a weird situation with the friends where they don't know whether to trust her. And she's doing things that both help them, but also seem like nefarious. Like she gives a really fun perspective to the rest of the characters while still holding on to, she becomes more of that season 1 character again of being the
hot girl.
Yeah. And like the you know, quote unquote girl boss where she's like, she would be an absolutely terrible person to get along with. But when you watch her, like when you watch her needle the rest of the characters, I find it so fun. I think every time Mona is on screen is like a boon to the episode usually. And I think that like that's essentially why I like Mona so much. It's not that I think like she's this good person character that is like turns her life around after really like torturing the girls. It's like she sits at a really good intersection between them, and she can also be like this needle in their side. Like when she's going head to head with Spencer and she is doing like she's so much smarter than Spencer, in terms
she gets
of,
Spencer off guard.
Yeah, exactly. She knows how to like get Spencer out. She knows how to manipulate the situation, but it's like only for very petty things. I think that's really fun. Like that's just she's just being a girl boss around the story, and I think that's like great. So that's why I'm like always ride or die Mona, because I think every time Mona is on screen, it's the most interesting thing happening.
I wish they had done more like that with Jenna, because I think Jenna was a good character that could have done a lot more. They could have done a lot more with.
Yes, absolutely. Jenna has untapped potential for this
they're like,
exact same
she
role.
was like close with Cece, but then also like, did she know about Alex? Because she met A, but she can't see A and was given the end game in Braille. But then
what do you think was in that document?
But then, yeah, and so if she told Jenna,
My name is Alex. I am Spencer's sister.
well, but so if she told Jenna the plan, then why? Or I guess maybe it was only for the board game.
Yeah, maybe it's like I'm gonna use a board game against them.
Yeah, it's how did she not know about Alex before, or did she? Like, we don't get enough information on that, and I just wish we got more Jenna.
Yeah, I think Jenna just becomes a victim.
Mm-hmm.
So you never did. I was always certain that there was something that Jenna was doing for a very long time that was like nefarious or bad, and she was a villain. Ooh, but not really.
Yeah, she was just there.
Yeah. So some further context of my love of Mona. I love that specific type of character type of like the character that like straddles lines between the protagonist and things. So these are both anime references, so if it goes over your head, that's fine. In Dragon Ball Z, my favorite character is Vegeta, who is an absolute monster at the beginning of the show who like literally kills like civilians. And then as the show goes on, is just part of the gang. He's just part of he marries someone on Earth as son, and he's just like essentially part of the crew. And he's a hothead. He is extremely stubborn in leadership, and he's always just kind of like an asshole, but I love him so much.
So let's say in Vampire Diaries, so then you're Team Damon.
Yeah, but I don't like Damon because they soften they soften Damon. And also Damon killed one of the best characters right off the bat. Him killing Lindsay is like, oh, what the fuck you doing? She's so cool. Okay. Lindsay was more the character that I was like, she's like, yeah, she's like, I'm a vampire and I'm like doing vampire things, but like, we're cool. You know what I mean? Uh-huh. Like that was like, okay, Lindsay's got the vibe.
So you can forgive Mona and Vegeta, but you can't forgive Damon.
No.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, I'm not critiquing you, just asking for the kind of the comparisons and lines.
Yeah, and I think also maybe the Damon's vibe of like, I'm just over here snarky and cool, like I don't care or anything. Yeah, doesn't really work as well for me.
It doesn't work for you.
Yeah, and also Axel in Kingdom Hearts is this exact thing too.
Okay.
So there you go.
I love it.
Okay, open up the doc. Oh, this is great. Sarah Shepard told us some almost plot lines on Instagram. I've listed some below. Which one would you have liked to see? 1, Maya's A. 2, Ezra dates Spencer instead of Arya. 3, Hannah doesn't survive getting hit by the car. 4, Arya's family are swingers. Does that include Mike? 5, everything was Allison's dream in Radley. Oh, that is my least favorite. 6, Noel kills Ezra. 7, Hannah ends up with Lucas. 8, Melissa is A. 9, Hannah kills Allison to end her bullying. Okay,
my question for you is, are we doing this in terms of book plot or show plot?
Oh,
because Sarah Shepard is books.
Changes. Yeah. I mean, let's say show plot, but okay. If it was book plot, Hannah ends up with Lucas is actually pretty good.
That's mine. I was going to say, if it's book plot.
Uh-huh.
Show plot, okay.
Do we want to rank order these?
Oh, okay.
So, my least favorite is everything was Allison's dream in Radley. I hate that. That's just a cop-out.
Mm-hmm.
And then right above that would be Hannah kills Allison to end her bullying.
I don't know. That could have been interesting.
Okay.
Like a crime of like, maybe not even on purpose. Like imagine you're so mad and you throw something.
Throw something?
Yeah.
Yeah, that could potentially work. I think out of all this, well, actually maybe number 8 would be Arya's family or swingers. I don't think that really gets you anything.
It doesn't give me anything.
Other than Arya being like, oh, well, there's just like all these weird people over with my parents always bring home other people.
Yeah.
No, so let's see. I think Melissa's A might be my number 1 because giving Melissa also another untapped girl boss. Melissa always just being the worst is my favorite, but Melissa doesn't end up like mattering in any way. I feel like giving Melissa a more central thing to mattering is high on my list.
In terms of chaos, like if I was just like, ooh, let's just stir the pot. Hannah not surviving getting hit by the car has some crazy implications.
Yeah.
Because she is why Mona's doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens then?
Right.
Like that to me, I'm like, oh, that's a turn.
Yeah. And I think it'd be, so again, it doesn't work out really logistically all that well with the show because like, you know, good for Ashley Benson that she got to be on the show the entire time because like, you know, if you kill off her character, there she goes.
No, that's not true. Ghosts.
That's fair.
Soap operas.
Twin.
Yeah. Twin.
So, but that would be cool. Like, if, again, going back to like me being like, if one of the main characters was also if one of the main characters died, like that's huge.
Ezra dating Spencer, I think would have made more sense.
Oh, that absolutely makes sense. Spencer would like have gotten off on that.
Yeah, she's already dating adult men. Like,
yeah. Well, in the Spencer, well, at least
of
from
season 1,
yeah, would be like, ooh, like this forbidden thing that I'm doing. She
Yeah.
would know that it's bad and be like,
then that's why she'd do it.
So then it's like even more thorny things that you have to like work through, and then even maybe like Fitz having to be like, oh, you don't actually like me.
And she's a child of lawyers. Like, what a dangerous game.
And then him getting outmatched.
Yeah, and then him trying to get out and her trapping him would have been fun. You know? There's lots you could play with in there. Maya being A doesn't really do anything for me.
No, I'd say that's toward the bottom of the list. Maybe above Arya's family swingers. So that'd be, 7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like we've touched most of them. I don't which one's your number 1?
My number 1 would be Melissa's A.
Okay.
Again, I want to see Melissa more involved.
I like the idea of Melissa being more involved, but I don't believe they created a character of Melissa that could hurt her sister.
Well,
she buries a body for her.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I'm doing all this because I believe the rest of your friends are awful and that you need to be away from Toby. It's like she thinks she's doing what's best for her.
Okay, I could see that.
Yeah. And this is all to protect our family, Spencer. Don't you understand? Before we find out that,
So does Melissa know about Alex in this?
Well, do we have Alex?
Okay, fair enough.
But I mean, I guess that would have to work into there. Maybe Melissa knows about Alex, and when Melissa went over to London, that's how. Well, but then Alex is A.
Okay, so then what's your number 2? So you've got Melissa's A, and then.
Probably Hannah doesn't survive.
Mm-hmm.
Followed then by Ezra dates Spencer.
Where does Noel kill Ezra fits in? Because that's also a fun one.
Yeah, that might be right underneath there.
Okay. And then...
Hannah ends up with Lucas isn't great.
No, especially not in the show.
No, because they don't have chemistry that way. So, let's see.
Maybe Hannah kills Allie?
Yeah, Hannah kills Allie. That's not my favorite, but that's definitely above that. And then it would go maybe Maya's A. Hannah ends up with Lucas. If family or swingers, and then all in a snow globe.
Okay. Cool.
Beautiful. All right. What, in our opinions, were some of the best moments of acting on the show?
Arya on the
ski lift.
Ski lift, yeah.
That is great. I think Troian always had the best like flirtation scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, even though the accent is awful, I think her acting in the finale is really good.
Actually, from the beginning though, Allison. She acts circles
good.
around those girls because this is a 12-year-old girl in that pilot and you hate her. You're like, this girl was so mean to me in high school that I'm still mad at her. And you know how the black and white episode, I'm like, oh, it's a great premise, but it's horribly executed. She's so good in that episode. There's so many good scenes of her throughout the whole show where you're just like, she comes in for like a quick scene and she throws like a look over her shoulder or she does something and you're just like, shit, she's good.
Yeah, she is really good. That's a good call out.
From the very beginning. I think as the show goes on, they don't give her a chance to really act. It's not, I don't think she's any worse of an actress later in the show. I think she's not given scenes that allow her to do like big acting.
Yeah, I don't think the writing works for her.
Well, yeah, they subdue her.
Yeah. It's a real bummer.
It's a real bummer because she's so good.
But yeah, you're so right.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is. You believe like, oh, she's the worst.
Mm-hmm.
I think also, I find that the Fitz writing doesn't really work for me a lot of the time. But I think when Ian Harding does some good work of like silent rage is when he yells at them and slams the table to all get out of the apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's loud, but without being too big.
Yeah, I think in general, out of the guys, we've talked about this before, I think he's one of the better actors.
Yeah.
Which is strange to me because you don't see him. I mean, I guess we don't see most of them in a lot, but we don't see him in a lot. And I think he did a really good job of kind of making that character likable when they would have felt so slimy in someone else's hands. And that's what makes that character so dangerous. And I think he really understood that from how he talks about the character even. Mm-hmm. Like he understood that this was like this guy who believed that he was doing an okay thing. Mm-hmm. Like he truly embodies that. I'm trying to think what else. I mean, obviously Noel's head rolling down the stairs. Great acting.
Yeah. Yeah. Killing it.
Literally.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it for me, like of what stands out.
Mm-hmm.
But I think anything with Sasha just really.
Yeah, absolutely.
The dream sequences even.
Mm-hmm.
When Arya destroys anything, that girl destroyed a lot of things. But when she destroys Ezra's apartment, you can feel the rage. Mm-hmm. Like you can actually feel, like, I don't know, it's really good acting or she was really going through it or a combination of both, which like
something happened.
Yeah. I was like, I have never felt like more like someone exercised my demons for me than like when watching that scene. I'm like, oh my God, yes. Yes. I want to break a table. And just scene. Like the devastation, it's like the rage and the devastation mixed together is so beautiful. And like obviously it's a horrific feeling, but it's really well done.
Yeah.
And because someone else could have just thrown things around and pretended to cry and it wouldn't have felt like that.
No, yeah. That absolutely sells it. I don't think I have any more.
Cool.
Okay, so I think we're on superlatives. Okay. So, here's a list of fun. Most funny.
Hannah.
Damn. Most brave.
Arya. She's dumb shit by herself all the time.
I'm gonna go. She really does. Spencer also does. Spencer's like, I'm gonna put myself in.
I don't think Spencer's brave. I think Spencer is so focused on the answer that her self-preservation doesn't occur to her.
Oh, okay, wait.
Do you know what I mean? She's not embodying the feeling of bravery.
I've looked one bullet down, and I think we'll both agree on this one. Most reckless.
Spencer.
Yeah. Most ambitious.
Except for the episode where Hannah's like trying to hide the gun.
And where, well, actually, Hannah trying to hide the gun and Hannah kidnapping Noel.
Oh God!
By herself. Hannah's really reckless at the end of the series. Mm-hmm. I think Spencer has a longer run of recklessness.
And intentional recklessness.
Yeah. Most ambitious?
Mona.
Yeah. Mona, absolutely. Most empathetic? I think we talked about this earlier. But Emily. Yeah, for sure. Most adaptable? Who could adapt the best?
Did any of them adapt?
I know. Would it be Hannah? Wait, no. Who?
No.
I'm trying to think who. Maybe Spencer. Spencer might.
She blames Arya for breaking up her family when her dad cheated with Mary Drake.
Well, okay. Yeah, that doesn't work. Maybe Mona, actually. Mona's it depends on how you want to say. Like, adapting to the situation. Mona is just like, well, I could show you whatever face you'd like.
I'm trying to think of like any of the boys too. Like, yeah, no.
Yeah, for the boys,
I was just throwing.
Yeah, if there is one that would like roll with it the best, I feel like once Fitz is actually involved in things, he's like really gung ho. Where Caleb is constantly talking down.
Yes.
At a certain point, but I mean, it made the most sense at first when Caleb was brought in, and he's like, "I'm the computer guy. I understand all these things." But then later, he's just like, "Hannah, we have to do things a certain way," and I'm like, "Shut up." Most impatient, Arya.
Hannah.
Oh, never mind. You're right. Hannah being like, I'm just...
She's like,
trying to hide the gun.
When she's like, fix the game. Solve it before tonight.
And also, when everybody's gone and she has... Is that when she's trying to hide the gun?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Most relatable. Emily for me. So Catholic.
No.
There's too many times I'm like, yep, I feel you. I feel you there.
Which one would you peg me as?
Like you'd fully relate to in that sense? Well, I mean, I think you're most like Spencer, but like Spencer has such outsized things happening to her that I don't think you would relate to Spencer on that level. I think you have like certain characteristics that but like you have very different home life, and that's not barring any of the things that are outside the realm of like reality for Spencer. It's more just like she comes from a very well-to-do family.
I don't even have a sister to steal a boyfriend from.
Yeah.
I only have a brother.
Exactly.
He doesn't bring home boyfriends.
You can't steal him anymore because you're married.
That's true. Oh, yeah. Just kidding.
Well, Caleb, because I'm so good at computers.
Why do these headphones keep making this echo noise? Puts headphones back on. I saved y'all from watching him do it for a third time.
This time it'll work.
You changed nothing.
Well, it started happening all of a sudden, so it's going to fix itself all of a sudden.
No, you turn it off and back on. Every IT person would tell you that.
Yeah, is there anybody else you could think of for most relatable?
I know.
Okay. Most independent.
Arya does the most by herself, but her relationships are codependent.
Yeah. Arya's really like, okay, well, like I want you to want me, but I have a lot of things I need to take care of myself.
Spencer does a lot by herself, but I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say Arya.
Yeah.
Best liar, like who's the best at lying?
They always say Arya is, and I think they're right.
Yeah.
She lies the most.
She really does. Especially in that last season too. She's pulling in.
Well, even before that, like she's always lying to someone.
Yeah. And sometimes to herself.
Though I guess like if you want to go really Ezra.
Yes, that is true. Because he had such a house of cards built up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Most likely to be correct. Hannah is a lot of the time. Yeah.
Hannah's like, for the first like 5 seasons, Hannah's always right.
Yeah. Like, third act Hannah for most of the show. Most in touch with their feelings. This one's hard.
None of them.
Everybody's really bad at it. But if we had to grade on a curve. Oh, this is a tough one. Maybe Emily?
I'm going to say, okay, this is going to be like a little bit of a wild card because of what he did. But I'm going to say Toby. Because he is like, he knows that he loves Spencer more than Yvonne. But he knows that he can't have Spencer. Like, he's very aware because he's like, you're leaving, right? Like, they really set that up for you to be like, oh, Toby knows that if he could, he would have Spencer.
Yeah.
But he feels like he can't.
Even his, he goes in with clear eyes about why he becomes a cop.
Yeah. He's very in touch with like how he feels. Yeah. He's just not always right.
Yes. You don't have to agree with his feelings, but...
No, but he's having them, and he knows what they are.
Yeah, okay. Most likely to cheat on their partner.
That's a hard one to pick. Spencer cheated. They all cheated, except for Emily, maybe?
Yeah, I don't think Emily kisses Lyndon James.
Yeah. Was she with anyone when she does?
Yes, she was with Paige.
Oh.
Because Paige is like, what the fuck? Spencer, maybe?
Yeah, because Arya was only going to cheat if it was with Ezra.
Yeah. She had 1%. So
you know what I mean?
Maybe Arya was the most likely when they're on the outs.
Yeah, if she's dating someone else.
But I don't know. It's really Spencer. When Spencer hits a roadblock, she goes looking for someone else.
Yeah.
Most likely to be successful. Mona.
Yeah. I think Hannah's fashion business will probably be very successful.
I think so too.
I mean, I think Spencer too. I don't think.
I just think Mona will get her hands dirty, and I feel like that often is rewarded for people.
Mm-hmm.
Most likely to be well off.
Spencer. She was born well off.
Yeah, that's true. Most likely to get divorced.
Hannah and Caleb.
Yeah, they're in a real...
Emily and Allison. If they get married.
That's a lock. I think they're locked for life. I think those are penguins with pebbles. Out of all the... actually, no. Sorry. They're the second most likely to stay together. I feel like Ezria has survived the fire.
Yeah, they're not going to break up now.
Yeah. But, yeah, probably Caleb, Spoby, Emerson, Ezria would be my rankings.
I think if Spoby gets married, like if they're fully back together, that's at the end. I don't think anything breaks them up because I don't think they'd do it again.
Yeah.
As long as Toby stays out of the police force.
Yeah, it depends on how Toby starts behaving.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Most likely to keep in touch with the others after the finale. Spencer?
Or Emily.
Emily probably actually
sends a Christmas card.
Exactly. It would always be
and a text.
You haven't called in forever.
Yeah.
It's been forever since we've seen you around here.
Mm-hmm.
And Spencer, you missed the last reunion.
Mm-hmm.
Most likely to be in therapy after the finale. That might be Allison.
Toby. Think about what happened.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just thinking of who would most likely put themselves.
Oh. Well, Spencer was in therapy before.
Same with Emily, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Emily.
Spencer, though, was taken hostage. So Ezra, maybe? He should be.
Yeah.
They all should go to therapy. Everyone should go to therapy.
Absolutely. But who would be I need to go to therapy? Is what I'm thinking. I think Allison, because Allison has made a bunch of strides by the end.
Mm-hmm.
And is maybe
the only character that gets to grow.
Yeah, I don't want to end up like my mother. Mm-hmm. Which segues into a question that I accidentally skipped over. Most likely to turn out like their mother, Emily.
Yeah.
It's on a path.
Well, I don't know. We don't really know a lot about Ella.
That's true.
You know what I mean? In her day-to-day life.
Yeah.
She also dated a dud.
Mm-hmm.
Married a dud. Remarried the dud.
But I feel like the type of kind of controlling-ish mom that Pam is very relevant in how Emily is treating Allison.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can't tell you what to do, but...
Yeah. Exactly. Most likely to be A. I think we already kind of covered that a little bit. All right. So this is... so I guess we kind of branched this out a little bit. That was supposed to just be for the liars, but we mostly just hit the liars, but we kind of branched out a bit. So there's a few others here for including Mona and Allison and things, but smartest, I think we already did we already touch that? Yeah, so that Mona. I think Mona's the smartest out of everybody on the show. Who's the toughest mentally? Who has the most mental fortitude that way? Maybe Allison?
It depends on what season and what's going on.
Yeah. Because Allison's been through a lot. Physically toughest, if we can stick to... I don't know if you ever done that one for mentally.
No.
Physically toughest, I'd say Emily.
I don't know. Arya throws some hands.
That's true.
She throws. I keep picturing her shoving Sydney against the wall with Emily just standing there.
Right, Emily being yeah.
My chihuahua's gonna get you.
That's true. Arya will throw hands faster than Emily. But I feel like Emily is the most in shape out of all of them.
Oh, got it, yeah.
But you could be right, actually. Arya's gonna get in a scrap. Most resilient, I think probably Arya.
Mm-hmm.
And then most likely to have a family member try to torment them, that is Spencer.
Yes.
Proven time and time again. All right. Now we get into the wider cast. Best parent. I can read you a list of parents.
I don't need it.
Okay.
Ashley,
number 1 with a bullet. Wayne, number 2. Worst parent. Peter.
Ooh. Yeah, he is worse than Hannah's dad. At least he gets out of the way.
Exactly. And worse than Byron. And worse than Kenneth. Best partner. Would you like me to read the list?
Yeah.
Who do you think the first person on the list is? You never forget him.
Ezra?
Sean.
Oh my God.
Caleb. Jordan. Travis.
Who is Jordan?
I don't remember Jordan. Jordan. So our favorite. We're pretty deep into recording this podcast, so
I'll look it up on you.
Jordan.
You keep.
Oh wait, that's Hannah's fiance. Oh,
we've been doing this for like 3 hours.
All right, so he's obviously number one. Travis, Toby, Wren, Alex. Oh, Alex. Not the Alex that we get at the end.
Yeah.
Marco, Ezra, Jason, Noel, Liam, Jake. I think you already know what's coming.
Yeah,
Allison, Maya, Paige, Samara.
Jake.
Number one with the bullet. He can do karate. He can save you, and he's a really nice guy.
Number 2, adult Jason.
Oh, yeah. He's ride or die for you.
And he loved Arya.
He loved her so much.
See, the guys who love Arya at least aren't like Mona and Lucas are like obsessed with Hannah.
Uh-huh.
The guys who love Arya are like boundaries.
Yeah. I feel like if Maya had more time, she'd be up there. Maya was just young and had a lot to figure out.
Yeah.
Most harmless on here is probably Samara and Alex, who were never given a chance.
I love you, Alex.
Yeah. Our favorite couple, best couple.
Jake and Arya.
Jaria, baby.
Or Jason and Arya.
Jarias.
Put Arya with the J name and I'm happy.
I also did, well, no, I didn't like the Emily side of the Sabrina equation. Never mind. Sabrina also on that. Shipping on that. Missed that. Yeah, probably Jake and Arya. Best cop in Rosewood. Parentheses, ACAB. Agreed. But you know, we can put this away for a time being. Marco.
Lorenzo.
Yeah, probably Lorenzo, actually.
Marco literally keeps seeing Spencer. At least with Lorenzo, Allison's not currently in any legal trouble.
I think with Marco,
Is she? She steals his keys to see the evidence.
Right. And then he cuts her off.
Yeah, he cuts her off.
Where Marco's like, damn, I can't quit you. And Lorenzo's like, get away from me. I do not like you. I have a boyfriend. In the force.
A couple we missed out on.
Yeah. Worst cop in Rosewood. Darren Wilden. Oof. He is like one of the worst characters on the show.
It's
like,
so good. He's a good villain.
He was just that young boy on Gilmore Girls. Most likely to get away with murder out of all the characters. Mona. She did.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, it's right there. We already talked about our best A. I think we'd probably both agree there. Best bromance. I love this list. Toby and Caleb. Toby and Lorenzo. Mike and Ezra.
Toby and Lorenzo for sure. Then Mike and Ezra get a close second though.
Well, so I think the only reason
it's almost more like a Big Brother program.
Exactly. Yeah. Ezra is donating his time. Best friendship duo of the Liars. Hannah and Arya. I'm going to come up with we didn't have parentheses for all these. Hannah and Arya, Haria. Hannah and Emily, Hemley. Hannah and Spencer, Spanna. Arya and Emily, Arily. Arya and Spencer, Sparia. Emily and Spencer,
Emria?
Spemily. Arily.
It was so bad. I got distracted, but Sparia is always my favorite.
Yeah.
Because I think they really bring out they bring out the best in each other. And they're both clever in different ways.
Absolutely.
I really like Spencer and Hannah too. Because it's like Spencer, especially when Spencer stops thinking she's the smartest person in the room. Like she still has a plan and thinks she's smart, but she listens to Hannah like in later seasons and it's more fun.
Right. And then when Hannah also like calls her out on like, don't judge me.
Yeah. Stop it.
I like that too. But I think Sparia is the best because they're absolute menaces together. They could,
Yeah.
you just know that they could either solve everything and put it down flat, or they can get into the worst situation imaginable.
Yeah. They're either going to jail or they're going to find the answer.
Yep, exactly. Best non-A villain. We have a list here. Darren, Garrett, Lyndon James / Nate, Ian, or Archer. I think they kind of peak pretty early. Ian's like awful.
Ian's a good villain.
Yeah. And Darren is too. I think maybe
Wilden. I'd go with Wilden, actually.
Yeah, maybe Wilden, just because of like the sheer plot
They
stuff.
hit him with a car.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of.
And he lives.
No, and he gets killed later. Good stuff. All right, best menace. Jenna, Melissa, Noel, Jason, Wren, Sarah, Sydney, Shauna, Lucas.
I'm torn between Noel and Melissa. Was she on the list?
Yes.
Okay.
Unfortunately, Melissa doesn't reach her full potential, but
Mhm.
every time Melissa's on screen, it's like, what are you up to?
Mm-hmm.
But Noel really makes good on I'm just the worst.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like that.
Yeah.
You know what? Just for Noel with a Noel by a head.
With a thud.
That's right. All right. Now for our favorites. Do we want to go back and forth, or do you want me to go through the list and then maybe we'll go back and forth on each bullet?
Okay.
Okay. Favorite liar. I'm going to say keep it to the 4.
I feel like that's like picking a favorite child. I'm torn between, no shock to everyone, Spencer and Hannah. Or not Spencer and Hannah, sorry. Spencer
Arya.
and Arya. Because I love watching Arya. Arya is just like a fucking mess.
Mm-hmm.
And I love her. And I think she's a really fun character. Spencer gets better as the seasons go on.
Mm-hmm.
So those are my 2. I don't have a favorite.
For
a while, yours was Hannah.
I love Hannah until we start getting into Time Jump. I think Time Jump Hannah really like
She's
ruins.
the fucking worst.
Yeah, she just drags everything down. But I think either Hannah and then Spencer also takes that as Spencer starts coming into her own and starts becoming more of a focus, because then you get the really smart person who's also extremely headstrong, who gets herself into like so many bad situations. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We already did A. Favorite parent. We both agreed there. Ashley. We both had this same favorite couple. Same favorite friendship duo. What's our favorite individual favorite A reveal?
Mona.
Yeah.
Mona's the best one, the best reveal done.
Totally.
Because it's not info dumpy. It's not, and you piece it together as Spencer pieces it together.
Yeah.
I think that's really well done. They show you who A is before they tell you who A is. And even if you didn't predict it, as soon as you see her see the gum wrappers, you're like, oh, and then you see Spencer put it together, and then Mona's right behind her.
Yep. I think that is all set up really well. I just don't like the specifics of the A reveal of like why Mona's doing what she's doing, but I think it's actually really well constructed in the episode.
Mm-hmm. I don't like anyone's why. I think all of the AYs are a mess.
Yeah.
But that's my favorite reveal. Like if I'm watching it, it's the one I'd watch again and again and again.
And I don't think you can really follow up on this next one, so maybe we'll just table it for here. But it was, which characters do you think we will either see, hear from, or be mentioned in the Perfectionist Original Sin?
I know
School?
this already.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'll keep my mouth shut.
Right. And you said there's like some cameos in the Original Sin ones and stuff too. Interesting. So
one of them's like a very like distinct side character.
That's funny.
I saw Instagram was like, you like Pretty Little Liars. Here's this. And I was like, ha.
So I think I already know what'll be in the Perfectionist. I think Emily maybe will show up there. If not be absolutely directly mentioned. Like there's going to be no way.
Mm-hmm.
And then who else would they get for the Perfectionist? I don't think we're going to get the full liars back. But we'll maybe get some. Maybe get some like parents or side characters. Like,
what I was
there.
referencing was Original Sin too. Like that's where I know the specific side character and stuff.
Okay.
Just to not try to make you try to think of like a specific side character in Perfectionist. I have no idea.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking maybe like parents are around that you might run into, like maybe Ashley or something. And then I wanted for a prominent side.
Do you think Perfectionist takes place in Rosewood?
I'd assume so.
Okay.
It doesn't?
No.
I guess. Okay. There we go.
I don't think so. Not from what I remember.
I think actually maybe on the summary it said
it's like one of the first things in the summary. So that's why I was like, I don't.
Okay. All right. So maybe the parents won't be there then. But Emily will absolutely be mentioned, if not on screen. Mm-hmm. So then prominent side character in Original Sin.
I know there's some mentioning and I know there's some one that's seen.
Okay. Are they two different characters?
Mm-hmm. But I know like a main character is mentioned.
All right. I'm going to guess Arya.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm for the side character that's there.
And these might be in summer school. I don't know what part of when
they pop up. I'm going to guess side character. I'm going to guess Jenna.
Okay.
So, well, boy, that is it for our big mega episode.
Yes.
Thank you so much for the questions, because I don't think either of us had a lot of fun things to say for the finale. So I think it's nice to end on some positives.
Okay, but you know what I do think? Like, I remember watching this finale and I was pissed when I finished it because I had invested so many years of my life and I had graduated college and was now an adult and I was still watching this stupid fucking show and I just wanted to know who the A was. And I finally get to the end and then I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? It's Spencer with a Cockney accent. And I was so mad. And rewatching it now, I'm like, this is fucking hilarious.
It really is.
Like, and I mean, I saw the humor in it then, but like, it was a show that took itself kind of seriously. So you didn't, like, it didn't. You know what I mean? Noel's head rolled down the stairs. But there was a you know, a serious, scary mystery-ish to it. And so then for it to end like that, you're like, Jesus Christ. So rewatching it though, I'm like, oh, that's fucking funny. Because like, I knew it was there, so I'm not bothered by the twist.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm like, oh, I mean, I am bothered, but I'm not. It's like, I'm like, oh, that's funny. Like that was a choice.
Yeah.
That was a choice.
Yeah. Yeah. My biggest problem with it is there's just bad storytelling for like that last episode. Is just too crammed.
Okay.
Into like you said, Jim.
It's bad storytelling. It's almost unforgivable storytelling. But the true thing that's absolutely unforgivable is the accent. It is so distracting and it takes away from a performance that would have been otherwise amazing. Yeah. And it's so frustrating because like I could have forgiven the, oh my God, Spencer has a twin, immediate jump. There's so many things when you watch Pretty Little Liars, at least for me in real time, that I was willing to like not, like, it doesn't matter. I don't care. Don't explain it. I don't need it. I just need to know who A is. And then for them to do that, I was like, the accent.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
Mm-hmm.
But you survived.
I did. I made it all the way through.
You're here now. You know everything.
I do. And now we move on to the Perfectionist next week.
Yeah.
2 episodes. We'll be watching, because it's just 10 episodes, so we'll just do 2 apiece all the way through. You can find it. It's not on any streaming services, but you can purchase it on like YouTube and like other, like Amazon Prime, like other places like that. It's like $25 for the whole thing. Or, you know, get it somewhere else for free. Not going to blink twice if you go do that. Completely understand. You know, why spend money on a canceled show? Anyways, we'll be back next week with 2 episodes. So until then, you can find this podcast on all your audio podcast platforms of choice at Dead Ends. You can also find the video version where you see our smiling faces at dead_ends on YouTube. And you can also, if you have questions and things that you'd like to write in, that's deadendspcast@gmail.com, or leave a comment on our YouTube. Give us 5 stars, subscribe, tell your friends and things. All that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, you're here.
We're still here, and we're going to move to a new town and find out everything.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Goodbye.